as we get going. It's 11 o'clock. There it is, $1.34. Good one. Incredible morning. We had a great one yesterday with Joe. Glad to have Neil back. The whole team is ready to rock and roll. The midday show is ready. Joe's fresh, man. Normally he's been, transferring over. But right now he's ready to rock and roll, as everybody is always around here. So thanks to Dara, Sia, everybody. Neil, glad to have you back. Obviously, after just
Elon arrives
one
at court.
day. Elon's coming to court. Thank you to good to see Ramin back. We've already mentioned that as well. By the way, NVIDIA's now is just pumping through. Now $1.50. Fabian, everybody over there. Andre. I don't think I missed anybody. Thanks, Randy, as well, for the hookups right there. Keep the caffeine away from Joe. He has a very inverse reaction to it, and we don't.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Oh, has he been drinking a lot more? Okay. Take it easy over there, Big Joe. Right now, we'll leave you just with a $2 winner on NVIDIA, and we'll see you guys at 2 p.m. Ciao for now.
Peace.
Childish Gambino?
Grandma used to say that to me all the time. Ciao, bambino.
Is that an Egyptian?
No, actually, it's Italian. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That is your boy, Joey Options. There he is. Straight left hand down the pipe. I was watching Yusek and Dubois yesterday, number 2.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a whooping for 5 rounds. He caught hands for 5 rounds.
Yeah. What happened in the first one? There was like that low blow.
That was the controversial one, but Usyk beat him up anyway, going into the rest of the fight. Let's say hello to everybody, though, Joey. Jay Koingi, Brown Lightning. We got, I see a new name there. I like it. A.J. Chafers, Mig Raj, Lemon Family, Raj Ryan, Marco Hernandez. These are all new names. I like them. Hayaf Mai Asin. Okay. Andre, Michael J. Moss. We got Omar. Who else? We got Roulette. I'm looking for new names, guys. Throw in your new name. Let's go. Emil, Mr. Leahy, Don Sharifo. That's definitely not new. Iran expected to submit a revised peace proposal soon. CNN writing sources, thanks to the OG Darwin, always coming in with the headlines fresh. Appreciate you, Darwin. Prophet TT, Chrome 2481, Kurim Juarez. We got Ryan T, 32U, T2 Trades. Who else, man? Charles, something or another. STO. Let's go. Want new names. Let's go, baby. Risha. Oh, man, that's going to be a tough one. Big Fishing Every Day. Like that one. James, 1 Randall. We got Brad Y. Ranger. The real farmhand. I love it. Jackie Nutrition. These are all new names, at least to me anyway. Michael Riz. What's wrong, Joey?
Brother.
Yeah, it's giving you trouble, huh? That's okay. We got a couple more names here. We got NFT Parent. Okay. Luke, 91. Shout out to Eclipse Jack and Senior Toast Engineer. I think I got a lot of new names today. I do appreciate that. We always want to espouse all the new viewers. We love all the old viewers. No question about that. Much love. But we always want to grow.
Viewers on TikTok growing. We have to do our boy Bravely a solid here. We'll give a couple of, exactly. I hopped into the TikTok chat to see what everyone is up to. We got T-Rock. What's up? What about J-Rock? I've seen in the chat Mark Henry. The Mark Henry?
Mark Henry?
The Mark Henry.
Don't upset him. He seems to have a temper. I was listening to a beef that between him and Taker and him and Big Show.
Oh, no.
And those are two big dudes. He wasn't scared at all.
That would have been a heavyweight belt for sure. All right, the Mark Henry, not in the chat. Penthouse, what's going on? T-Rock, it's Eli. What's up, Eli? How you doing, man? Steven Jackson, Gazzy, the champ, T-Money, Kanye Punchy, Lando News, Firestarter, hey, we don't want any arsonists around here. Fried Egg, Buffalo Soldier Son, what's going on? Ghanaian Stock Guru, love that. Randy's World, okay, Mr. Flex, Andor, a couple more. Uchu Leo, Sherlock, Rudy Ortiz. What's going on, everyone? Yeah, we'll give a couple shout outs to our folks over there at TikTok. Guys, let's get right into the nitty gritty here. What were we doing? Yeah, down to work. We're down 1.1% here. We're bringing the energy today. I'm on espresso number 3, so it's going to be high intensity stuff.
I'm saying.
And then around 1 o'clock, it's going to be crash and burn. Unfortunately for your boy. Okay, nonetheless, guys, let's get serious. Let's put those work faces on and let's get involved into what we got going on here. So Bitcoin, the overall market continuing to climb. Right, the market was strong, nice, strong opening drive. So I'm like, all right, we're lagging a little bit here in Bitcoin. Let's see if we can implement our VWAP breakup strategy here. And sure enough, what do? boom, at the break of the volume weighted average price, we punch and we go extremely heavy on this one, and then boom, 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 we take some off, and then unfortunately, it just volatility spiked down. Oh, okay, I'm not tapped in.
Yeah.
It spiked down, and then we had to get out break even. We're gonna go over this a little bit momentarily. Let's send it off to Adara.
Yeah, for one here, President Trump about to begin a speech with King Charles and Queen Camilla of the United Kingdom. First Lady Melania Trump's also here. If there's anything market-related in this speech, I'll let you know. As Sharif mentioned there, we did get a little bit of a pop here in the market and a bit of a drop in oil. I want to go over that story. So CNN reporting that soon Iran is expected to submit a revised peace proposal. We have no details as to what the proposal is, but we know yesterday apparently President Trump did not want to accept the earlier version of this proposal, which again, we know one of the biggest things here is they wanted to have that Strait of Hormuz reopen. They also wanted to be able to continue with nuclear enrichment plans. So President Trump did not want that. Looks like they're going to be submitting a revised peace proposal soon. So we basically don't get any new information out of that report. Also here, we do have President Trump. He just started speaking. I'll keep you guys posted if there's anything of note, news and market related. Back to you.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's get right back into business, guys. And then we take a couple of more attempts. But this is the position where I had the largest amount of size on. I was looking for some more continuation. Wasn't the fact. So we tried one more time. We take the stop out at the break of the low. Oh, indecision print formed. Nope, same thing, break at the low. We get out of that one. So we do end up giving some back on the attempt, and then a strong hammer candle, but not enough strength of participants stepping right back in. So, I mean, you go 1 for 3 right there. Not horrible, but you end up giving some back. Thankfully, this position was going to be the largest size here on the day. Now, what am I looking at as per our watch list? We have the SPY, the TQs here on the side of our chart as always. And then we have AMD with a high of around $356. That's the all-time high. Slams down to $311. So that's a pretty hefty haircut in the span of a couple of days. We talk about too far, too fast. And I think that was the narrative here in AMD. Now, Tesla starting to come back in a little bit here, guys. Same with the overall market. Strong opening drives. IBIT not participating really in that momentum to the top side, but then we climb almost back to where we were yesterday, 214. Katina Man long on NVDA, now starting to come back in a little bit here. Boeing not doing too much of a slight red day here. Before we send it off to Sharif, we're going to head over to the options chain and look at what we have on NVDA around that 216 mark to see if there's anything saying, hey, we got a lot of OI. Why are we continuously knocking on this door and not breaching it? But what we're seeing here on this expiration cycle, let's head over to the first, is at 217.5, 60,000, and then at 220. So we have a little bit of a congestion in supply zone here within NVDA. Wouldn't be surprised if next week those roll over, but reduced in size, and then we can continue to climb. I think this is just a pullback due to the nature of how fast we've moved to the top side.
There goes SBLX into 3.5. We're long at 3 1/3. We're looking for continuation through the $0.50. As you can see here on the bottom chart, which is always the 5, there is a plethora, or as, hold on, Katina, man, as Sia would say, plethora, and my sister, of resistance at the $0.50. We're looking for continuation here. 1 hour for me is 57. Current bar high, 54. No continuation yet again through the $0.50 on SBLX. It's a good one here, about 20 million or so shares traded on the day. Let's wet the beak here at the $0.50. We're saving everything for 1 hour, 57 back into 52. Yeah, I think I'm a little ambitious here with 57 because it is only 2 pennies south of the high of the day, which is 359. And, you know, there's a lot of resistance at the $0.50. So in at 38, wet the beak there on a couple of profit takers, but they're down it goes again. Looking for a hold above 320. It loses 320, I'm out. It is really that simple. But I'd like to see this trade through to see if we can close for the first time on the day above the $0.50, because there are, I should say, no closing prints on the 5-minute chart, maybe on the 1, I don't know, but certainly not on the 5 above the $0.50. Here it is, back above the $0.50. The shorts are quite convicted in their position here. Every single time this moves above the $0.50, it is met with a wall of selling, so you have to be alive to that. I think if we get a couple of more rejections, I'm going to take out a few more outs here. We're going to keep an eye out on SBLX. As you can see on the position board, I'm also long ATER. I'm looking for this one, generally hold current trend. If it loses $1.20, I'm out. It's this one over here. It's got a lower high trend. I'm going to give it to the $1.20. I'm in at a $1.29. If it loses trend, I'm out. I'm looking for this one to basically hold above the 20 moving average on the 5. It's had some deeper retracements, I want to say, at around 10 and 9:30, where it did get into the 20, found some support at 20, and then boom goes the dynamite into the high of the day of 151. I'm talking about ATER. This is after BIYA, this is the number one gapper, I believe, up 93% and change. Here it comes again. Watching here, SBLX back into 54, right? Prior bar high is 54. So we haven't had any prints above 54 quite yet. Let's see if we can breach prior bar high. We're showing current bar high is 54. So what was prior bar high? 54. They're both 54s. There's a lot of selling at 54. So watch here. No prints coming above 54. So we're going to wet the beak here just to make sure that we get a little bit at an area high, because clearly we can't print anything on the ask above 54, or can we? We just almost flashed 55s there, yeah, but as you can see, no continuation. I'm waiting at 57s, and there's a lot of buying here. Look at, there's 57, looking for the print. Boom, there's 1R. Looking for more now. Let's see if we can kind of take this out. 360 now, the high of the day. Looking for a move into 2/3, 66. If we can get 66, I'm looking for a 3/4, okay? So let's see if we can get into those levels, then my bias will move to that $4 whole dollar area. Let's see how this cookie crumbles, Joey. What do you got?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody likes Star Wars. Okay, I don't know about that one, but I like Star Wars. I know Neil likes Star Wars.
Everybody, eh?
Everybody likes that. I don't know.
Okay.
I was never a Star Trek guy. Nonetheless, looking at ATR, I know Sharif's got the small cap game on lock, so we'll continue and move forward on something else. I mean, NVDA, we've been going over that one there. SOXL, a drastic pullback as well. So, I mean, like, we have to take into consideration, we're looking at all of the chip names, Sharif and I, that is, and it's Marvell to the downside, and a lot of them continuously getting slacked here, but you have to take into consideration just, I mean, you're going to get that pullback at some point, 122%, and then you drop 13 in the span of a couple of days. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. It doesn't matter. We've gone over so many occasions and kind of examples of when you just are continuously grinding higher, going higher and higher and higher, and it's like, okay, what's going on? Everybody's excited, but then you have the backside of the trade. What example am I going to use? Can you guess? Probably
AMD.
not. No, Microsoft.
My bad.
I mean, it's all right, man. But there it is. Same thing. Like, do you remember the Sharif earnings report? Boom, Azure coming in better than expected growth.
Who can forget the mother of all double tops?
Boom, and then exactly, and then it's just like, okay, here, it doesn't look like this stock can be stopped, and then sure enough, you come to the downside. And it was the same thing with AMD, as you mentioned before. Years ago, right? A couple of years ago, I remember this day like it was yesterday. I'm like, oh my Lanta, like this is a substantial move to the top side after you've already appreciated a significant amount, 134%. You put that, you make that final push, and then off to the races you go to the downside for a multi-year bear trend here within AMD. I'm not saying that's going to be the same case, but that's a pretty quick move to the top side, and I'm not surprised that it's down $45. I feel like you want to mention something.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay,
I don't.
Because I know you're like,
I'm putting out orders. I'm not allowed to put out orders.
No, I never said that. I never said that. I just know when you're ready to fire something.
Nah, we're good.
All right, we're live there. Bravely, you're very welcome.
Get it, Bravely.
No, aside from that, like, I mean, even with this name, that's just been on a big time. What's that?
I love what Katina is here, bro. He always makes me chuckle. He just says stuff under his breath, which is funny.
Yeah, get it, Bravely. Yeah, exactly.
Get it.
Katina Man, probably the most sarcastic individual here, in a good way, that is.
Yes.
11%. He's got that. He's funny,
he's
man.
shaking his head.
You know he's funny. He's a
Not
funny
happy about
individual.
that
Trust
joke.
me. My style of humor.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, man. I thought shouldn't you be going to the gym, my guy? Come on, man.
You got to shut up too.
Yeah.
I got to shut up
like,
on Friday when he came back, bro.
There's no IPO or anything. Get that. You get over to the gym. No, nonetheless, man, we'll head back over to our watch list before we send over to Sharif. He's got something cooking up for you guys. AMAT not performing. SanDisk. We both, so Sean and I are doing weekly picks, right? SanDisk a little bit off that high. Bang, 7% there, Katina, man. Down 7% off of the high. So yeah, he has SanDisk and Meta. I have Amazon and Goggles.
You got Goggles, eh?
For this week.
Well, Goggles just went green, Joey, so good luck.
Bang.
We have to mosey on up to it there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Keep an eye here on PCAR. This is an earnings day one play I mentioned because we did get this spike down and then right back up. The volume on this is also significant enough for me to warrant mentioning it. It's about like over 2 million shares traded on the day. They had their earnings call, which kicked off at 11 a.m., during which the company guided Q2 truck deliveries between 37,000 and 38,000. That would be above the last quarter here of 33,100 deliveries. So they're guiding a sequential increase here in their truck deliveries, though their parts market apparently remains soft in Q1 and the first part of this current quarter. So PCAR on watch, earnings call. Looks like that probably just wrapped up. Back to you.
I got a Assassino. I know you have access to the chat.
Ooh.
Zion Lala, he's not interested in what Joe and I have to say.
Oh.
He wants to know what Assassino thinks about the SanDisk earnings.
Oh.
So shout out to my man there. No, look, we're not going to put Assassino. He's laughing. Assassino's laughing.
I didn't think that was real. I thought that was my...
It's real, man. It's real. It's my man. Zion. Well, Joey was just talking about SanDisk. Do you want to give your opinion on SanDisk earnings coming up?
Yeah,
anything?
Of course,
any ideas?
Yeah, let's pull up the expected move. Why don't we there?
Joey, I got to interrupt.
Bro. All right.
There goes SBLX into the high of the freaking day. Go, SBLX, go. It's ripping up, guys. 68. We just went to peak there at 69. This one is on the move. Here comes 3 quarters. If we breach 3 quarters, then you know what your boy is thinking. And my goodness, this one is on its horse into 377. We're definitely looking, oh no, we're definitely looking at $4. Keep your eye out on this one. This is, stop making me laugh. I'm trying to concentrate on the breakout. Bro, if I was in a position, this would not be good. No, but 377, Joey, this one's really going here. And we could see $4 quite soon.
All right, you gonna read that?
Big Rudy Smasher.
I love these
Big
guys,
Sharif started with $10 this week. Now he's got 15. Here's my gains, bro, for teaching me. He gave me all his gains, dog. That's not fair,
huge,
man.
Oh,
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
he gave me all 5 of this profits. That's there,
insane,
Joe.
Yeah.
Look, Rudy, the way to trade these small cappers, you got to size in big for small moves. That's really the move, right? So you got to be taking thousands, if not hundreds of shares. But the good news is there is ample liquidity. Like, look at this hot garbage over here. And I say that jokingly. SPLX has traded 24.5 million shares on the day. Yeah. Go and look what this thing traded yesterday. Barely anything. Joey, this is ripping up, man. Oh, man. Here comes $4. 394 high. This is absolutely going right now. Let's see what kind of resistance we get at 4. You know I'm not going to be punching in at $4 unless it really rips through that. Can't quite see what limit up and limit down are quite yet. So as soon as I do get a gauge of that, I will report back to you guys. But this one is him right now. Keep your eye on SPLX.
All right, a couple things we're gonna go over. Miss Lucia, don't think, Miss Lucia, don't think I forgot about you. All right, we're gonna go over Amazon options chain momentarily. But first things first, we're going to take a look at SanDisk, considering we're going to talk about that 14.9% expected move with a high of around $1,142 and a low of $845. Concludes comments from King Cross. All right, cool, good stuff. So yeah, there it is, right? We have the earnings report on, April 30th. So just keep an eye out on this one. The implied volatility is probably going to be through the roof. The demand, obviously, for memory is what essentially this drove this stock to insane heights, but don't forget, you move up there quick, things can come back in against you. All right, now, Miss Lucia, we're going to go over to your Amazon options chain and pull up what we have there. Options chain, Amazon, we'll go over that. I forget what expiration cycle you were talking about, so we'll go through a couple before we send it back to Sharif as he's punching keys over there. Do you want to talk about it before I go over this?
SBLX is ripping. We're back in at 87, 409 high, guys. It's on the move.
All right, it's on the move. Keep your eye out on that one. I want to get back over to that small cap stuff because we're just looking at the options chain right now. And there's nothing substantial, right? But what you will see is an uptick in the implied volatility at 72.2%. So just keep that in mind. The options market will price in the expected move leading into the earnings report, okay? So, I mean, nothing substantial as for resistance or support zone. So watch out. This thing can continue to climb a little bit higher than what it already has been over the past couple of weeks.
Well said, Joe. Well said. And we'll get more on that, I'm sure, when we talk about the news. A lot of news today, negative news for the semiconductors vis-a-vis OpenAI sales metrics as well as user metrics. Now, this is being reported by the Journal, the Wall Street Journal, that is. And I saw some comments earlier in the chat that, you know, people were theorizing that, this was an Elon-friendly headline. And that, somehow, some way, the journal was biased to Elon, given that, the what's it called? The lawsuit is starting between Sam Altman and Elon Musk. And I happen to disagree wholeheartedly with that. I think the journal's written quite critically of Elon in the past, and I don't think they're just all of a sudden, his boy. So, all right, continuing to watch here, SPLX. We'll get to all that later. I got out the high. I got out at 407. The high is 409. Okay, proof. I don't know, brother. Go ahead and read past articles about the Wall Street Journal. I think they were quite critical of Elon and many things that he does. So, that's kind of the point I'm trying to make there. Continuing to watch your 409. I'm not going to get in here. I think we're a little extended. I do see a lot of support, Joey, at around 3.5, maybe 375 ends up holding up. I don't really see good technical areas until about that 360, 350. But look, if this blows through 4, aggressively takes out the high, I'm going to get back in, and here it is again. Here it is. There's a seller generally at around 5 or 6, but looks like it might be holding 4 here. So the bar looks pretty good. It just touched 9 again, so it just got back into the day high. Now, it didn't breach it. It didn't print 10s, but there is some buying here, so I got to keep my eye thoroughly on this one, because if we clear 4, then we're going to use 4 as support, and then we're likely on the way to 5, okay? That's just the way these ones work. Now, there's never a hard and fast rule about any of that stuff, but keep a close eye, SPLX, if you're small cap gapper inclined.
All right, yeah, good stuff. Let's take a look at Spotify here. I thought this name would essentially be performing a lot better than what it is, to be honest with you. I mean, there's only 3 really music platforms. We've got Apple Music, Spotify, and I guess YouTube Music gaining a little bit of ground. But other than that, what are people really using to listen to music?
iTunes, hello. People other than me must be downloading stuff on iTunes. I'm sure of it.
There goes SPLX, Joey. We're right back in at 13s. It just got into 30s. SPLX is ripping up, guys. It's going to take out the $0.25 here on the day. Here comes 30. I'm looking for 33s now. Let's see what we can get. We won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. Hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later. We start shorting these bad boys. I need Neil to get shorts. So this is very aggressive, Joey. We're up 70%, 69%, and we're looking for about 100, man. We're also looking for that $5 area. Watch out for resistance at the $0.25. Anything below 10 ends the trade for me.
All right, man. Good. Yeah, it's moving nice, man. Really good play there. Good momentum style of trading. It's my cup of tea, essentially. So yeah, just back to Spotify. You can see that stock's down 45% off of its highs. So, I mean, at the end of the day, might be a potential buy, right? So we'll go over more of the earnings report, obviously, come the 1 o'clock hour, and I'm looking forward to a little bit more conversation, even though they had 9% year-over-year subscription growth, so too much coffee, I slurred my speech. Anyways, aside from that, let's head back over to our watch list, guys, and see what we got going on. I just got my eye on a couple of the bigger names. It looks like we're curling over and rejecting the volume-weighted average price on multiple, so IBIT still trading south, downtrend still fully intact, but what we have here on the SPY is the inability to breach the indicator, and now we're heading towards the low of the day. Oh. It's the exact same narrative here with the TQQs. Is it still going?
Yeah, I got out.
Oh, go
like an idiot.
Oh, you're out? You're out now? All right, man.
I took it out there.
It's all right. You have another opportunity to get back in. But here it is, right? Like if we're looking at the SPY and the TQQs, heading towards the low of the day, we traded above it for the first hour or so of the session, but now we can't break it. And what was prior support is clearly acting as resistance. So you have that over-under play on the NASDAQ. Now, as for AMD, pop up into 328, recovering some of its losses from the pre-market, but heading back down to the sell side. 316 could be a key level, right? As we have multiple support levels or indication that say, hey, if we breach this, then there might be a little bit more downside. And then 308 is going to be that next target, the opening print, the first 5 minutes, that is. And then sure enough, maybe some more continuation. But I was talking about this yesterday in regards to the gap fill. Right? So I said, be prepared for this gap to get filled. And essentially what happened is you have this massive gap down in the pre-market. Obviously, you can see the price action there, and you start to recover a little bit, but you run right back into yesterday's low, and then you reject it once again. So keep an eye out on it. We talked about this on multiple occasions, 82% off of that March 30th low. and then now you drop 13, 14% in a couple of intraday sessions, watch out. This might slide a little bit more, and it's not out of AMD's nature to do that. It's done it on multiple occasions in the past.
That's a fact. That's a stone cold fact. Joey dropping knowledge. Deep Cheeks AI. He dropped 2 in the chat. We're going to thank you for that one. What's up, Sharif? Remember that commercial back in the day? You were probably like 3 or something, but it was like, what's that?
No, I just remember that from Scary Movie.
Yeah, but there was... Neil, what was the commercial for that, man? Budweiser! Yes, Neil. With the win. Yeah, it was like, yeah, but that was from that. I think they took it from the commercial, or the commercial took it from the movie. Something like that. But what happened? Yeah. Ram?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, she's just a menace. She's a villain.
Someone's
villainous, bro.
Someone said...
My dad would say she's
Someone
villainous.
said Adair still uses LimeWire. Does that thing even exist anymore?
I have used LimeWire.
Yeah, of course.
Which is also like what like makes it funny. My dad used to use LimeWire to like make playlists and stuff, so I used it for a bit. But
yeah,
I prefer
everybody used it and
music, and I like giving the artist money.
I liked getting free music and then infecting my computer for life, right? Like that was just like Ed would like the what's it called? The antivirus like protector Norton, whatever you had, McAfee, it was just like working overtime.
That McAfee story is crazy.
Yeah, that dude's vendettive, eh?
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, he's pretty vendettive what he did to the U.S. government. Anyway, we got to get to this super. Thank you, Deep Cheeks AI. What's up, Sharif? What should I get into today? Well, we can never really tell you what to trade, nor would I want to tell you. What I can say is I'm liking SBLX, okay? SBLX ripping up. Now, it didn't always look good. Quite frankly, when I sat down and I started looking at the scanner, I'm like, all right, well, what are we going to trade today? This thing was below VWAP. Or on the way to reclaiming VWAP, pardon me, right there. Right at 1050, I sat down, and this one had just taken out VWAP, but I was, quite suspicious of this one. It had a bit of a downtrend, and I knew for a fact that we were going to encounter big resistance at 350, and we did. 2 candles, so for about 10 minutes, the 1105 and the 1110 candle, we couldn't breach it, and then all of a sudden, the 1120 candle came, and boy, oh boy, did we rip above 350 in a straight line from the low of 345 all the way into the high of 408. Alas, it's dancing now at $4. This is an engulfed candle, this red candle here, the 1125 candle, completely engulfed by the 1120 candle from the highs and the lows. Let's see how this works out. I'd like to see 4 hold, ideally, but I do see a bit of a chasm here between the $4 area and where we're seeing that 3.5 to 360 area support. So a bit of a bias that this does retrace a little bit. Let's see if it does. Doesn't always have to. Otherwise, I'd be looking at some other names here. Now, I did get into ATER. I have a small win on this one, but take a quick look at ATER. The reason I got out is because this crap here wasn't changing, which is lower high, lower high, lower high, and one more, lower high. So it's not breaching. And to me, this is obviously setting up as a more prolonged pullback. Let's look at it at the 15. The 15 will kind of show, okay, I do like what I'm seeing here on the 15. These 2 bottoming tail candles shows that it's jiving with that 125 to 123 area support. Why do I say there's 125 to 123 area support? Well, let's take a gander at that 9 o'clock candle on the 15. Rejects 123. How about 9:15? Rejects 122. Hold on, there's more. Implied balance open, 9:30. What is the high of that candle? 125. Even the 945 bar, 129, but where it ends up closing, 112. So clearly, initial resistance at a 123 to 125, and so the bottoming tail candles are showing you that the buyers are seeing that and they're picking it up off there. Now, they're not strong enough in order to outdo the sellers who keep making this one put in lower highs. So what I'd like to see is a trend change, meaning what? That either on the 5 or the 15, whatever off which you're charting, we get that first 5-minute candle to make a new high on the 15, or in the case of the 5, we get a decided break of this downtrend here with a nice closing print, possibly into 135, 140, whatever, okay? It ends up going to. So I want to see that lower high trend break end, but I am kind of kept optimistic about the support that it's finding at around 1.25. So that's my look there. BIYA, I'd suggest this to you. But look what this thing's doing. I mean, it's straddling VWAP. That ain't the move, man. I mean, it looks like this one, the best trade is behind it. The best trade was around 8:30. You got another shot at 9:30 when this one absolutely ripped up on the implied balance open. Then you had to ride momentum there. Otherwise, I'm not liking a whole lot. Be honest with you about that. It's just ATER if it breaks trend and SPLX, Joey. Other than that, I will also put this one on there too. And I know this one might be down your alley here. Have you looked at SOXS?
Yeah. I had that up
Figured
there
you'd
actually
like
momentarily. Yeah.
This is to semis. It's inverse, right? 16 bucks. You can size in nicely here. You know?
175 million shares traded.
175 million. Who can say bad things about that? Ample liquidity there. Let's take a quick look at what the spread is on the inverse SOXL ETF. By the way, SPLX holding higher lows. So just before we go to SOXS, this candle here, bottom right of your screen, that is the 1125 candle. High of that candle is 426. We're on the 1130 candle. The high is right here, 420. Shout out. We're looking for a breach of 426 to reclaim the trend. We have higher lows on this candle, but we have a lower high. We need to break that trend to kind of mosey on back. And here we go, Joey. We just touched 25, selling here at 25, so no breach of prior bar high on SPLX. But, oh, that's an ugly looking candle there that just manifested. Let's take a look at SOXS. Is this on the NQ or the Amex? Or it's on the Amex, okay. So, as Joey was mentioning, 160 million shares, and there is a lot of size posted on almost every level on the gateway here, but you're getting a 1 penny spread. So
let me say something quick here. So I have 176 million shares. The data here isn't starting to be recorded until, 6 a.m.? So you have 2 hours of volume that are...
You want me to find out what the volume is on my scanner, which starts populating from 4 a.m.?
Yeah, 176. I have.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah, that's
okay,
what I'm saying. So like you have 20 million
right.
shares missing.
Missing from that level. That's a legitimate point.
Yeah,
bro.
you know what I mean? So that's why, like out of the gate, when we talk about things, your volume weighted average price will be like skewed a little bit compared to one platform. So one starting calculating at 4 a.m. and the other starting at 6 a.m. You have 20 plus million shares not accounted for, and then that's what's going to throw off the volume weighted average.
Well said. And it doesn't make much of a difference, Joe, if there was no volume in the pre, but when there is volume in the pre,
exactly.
it makes a huge difference where your VWAP is, right?
Massive difference.
And with all due respect to P8, it's one of the best execution systems I've ever used, but it populates, as Joey was saying, around 6:30 a.m., so I never really use VWAP on the way charts. You'll always see VWAP on my black charts, though, as the white line. I know there's a lot of lines, not as many as OB, but that white line there, which I think stands out pretty clearly, that is always the volume weighted average price. Let me take this opportunity to tell you what the lines are on my chart. Sometimes we haven't done this for a while. The green, doesn't matter what time frame we're looking at. The green line will always be the 10 exponential. And all my moving averages are exponential. I'm an intraday trader, right? The yellow will be the 20 exponential. The red is the 50 exponential. And that dark blue there on the bottom is the 200. Now, on the single chart over here, we have a purple line. And that purple line sometimes jives with the blue line. That's because that purple line is the 200 simple. The dark blue line is the 200 exponential. The only reason I put the simple on there is because we use this one to look at the daily. And if we're going to chart on the daily, we have to be looking at the simple moving average in addition to the exponential to see which one that specific name seems to be respecting, Joey.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, someone mentioning CAR once again, Avis Budget Group. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this in the span of a couple of sessions, right? Give me 1 second and we'll send it over to Adara. I mean, 78%, but the thing is just the move, $840 roughly, even a little bit, $850 to now you're trading at $188. So imagine I've never seen anything like that crazy. But I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and I just feel horrible for everyone who's just like buying this thing at like 500, 600, 700. And if you're the individual who's on the opposite side of this 850 trade, then yeah, that's not really a good time. Unfortunately, the stock will never recover. It will never squeeze that high again. So I shouldn't say never, as they say, but the chances and the probability of it doing so are extremely slim. Adara.
Shout out to Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith with that never say never reference there. Let's take a look here at Robinhood's crypto revenue over the last, I guess this would be 16 quarters, 20 quarters more or less here from Q3 2021 all the way to Q4 2025. They're reporting tonight. Now, last quarter, their crypto revenue here above $200 million. So again, if I remember correctly, crypto revenue is part of their transaction revenue segment. So it's not its own segment. It's a subcategory within a larger segment. But either way here, this was down from Q3 2025, so down sequentially, and down markedly from Q4 2024. So we had a sequential and annual decline for Robinhood's Q4 2025 revenue. Will Q1 2026 fare any better? You can find out tonight. Join all of us for those Robinhood earnings. In the meantime here, just wanted to mention that's actually definitely going to be a metric that'll be on watch for Hood tonight. We'll take a look here at Bitcoin. Definitely technical story here for Bitcoin. We're rejecting this level that served as resistance going back to early February. Serving as resistance again here. It's not even at 80K. It's rejecting actually here at 79 halves on the dot. We get that first rejection last Wednesday, April 22nd. We get it again yesterday, Monday, April 27th. Next level of possible support here, the level we're currently at, which was that key 76,000 level. But if we can't stay above there, we do have this other secondary level of support resistance coming through around that 73.7s level, where we found resistance going back to March of 2026 and support going back to a couple weeks ago here, Sunday, April 19th. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. Yeah, just to touch on Bitcoin a little bit more here, I like how you pointed out this specific level. We've had the inability to crack that $80,000 mark, but one issue I'm having with just this little bit of a run up, it's giving me what we've seen in the past, right? So you have this strength, and then eventually you take this massive leg lower. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be the case, but what we're not seeing in this move, in this uptick up, is essentially these stronger sessions. And I've said this multiple times before. The days where you're putting in like 8%, 7.5%, and kind of that mid-single digit kind of price action movement, we're not getting that here. It's just a modest 1.5%, 2%, 3%. So I think if we were going to be significantly stronger, we would see stronger sessions within the intraday price action, which we've seen last year and the year before, especially after IBIT came into play, is that you just have these massive run up, and it looks like bulls are completely in demand and are in control, and that doesn't seem to be the narrative right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a pullback south of this support level here that was acting as prior resistance, and I wouldn't be surprised if you come back and retest 70, right? I want to see some stronger sessions in Bitcoin. I think Saylor has to do a lot with this price action as he continues to grab more and more.
No question. I just got into ATER, but I got out. I'm not immediately liking what I'm seeing. I saw a lot of size at 139 that I didn't like. I'm going to give this one another opportunity. I want to see a clearing of 140, but it's on the move here. ATER feels like it's broken trend. Let me just show you on the black charts what I mean by that. Here it is back at 138. Look at that bottom left of your screen. Well, I'll just put it like this so everybody can see. Here we go. It feels like it's broken trend, but I've been burned a lot by this pattern where the trend breaks, and then that trend break there is setting you up for a lower high, okay? And then that lower high ends up failing, and you get out. I'm just making fun of myself here, like a schmuck. You're getting in almost at the high, 138, 139, ends up topping out 140, whatever, and then you're on the way. And then you breach current bar low. Current bar low, 131. I used to feel that these setups here were quality setups. And then I got to tell you, the last month or so, they really haven't. So I'm going to keep ATER on close watch. But I don't want to get in just because I see the trend break, because I'm worried about a lower high. Everybody's yelling about POLA. And so I got to get on that immediately. Shout out to JL88. Or 822, sorry. Shout out to Grunfeld. Love you guys. You guys are always calling stuff out. You guys are great. I don't think Buv is in the chat quite yet. He's probably at work. Hopefully we'll see Buv in soon, because he's always calling stuff out as well. POLA, I see the super. I'm going to get to it in 1 second. Just want to put two. Thank you, Assassino. Looking at POLA, breach of VWAP here. Guys, I want to see a move above 215. Look at that 945 high. Let's see that move above 215, and then maybe we can squeeze back. I'm not buoyed by the fact that this one rocketed up into 239 as quickly as it rocketed up into that level, as quickly as it dropped into 194. That one puts it on Uncle Sheriff's suspicion list, okay? BIYA is making a move here, guys. Here we go. It's claimed VWAP again. It's at the $0.75. Let's see how this one does. This is the #1 gapper in the market right now, up 125%. So we'll keep tabs on that. Let's go over Dustin Rhodes in. Okay, yes, Assassino, absolutely. Hell's Gate.
Oh.
Can we get that one, Neil? You got the gates of hell? My man, he's on. I love this guy. There we go.
Okay.
Started a small cap account a month ago with $300. Joey, are you reading this?
Yeah, I am.
And today, it's just over $4,000. Thanks for teaching along the way. I'm really happy to hear that, man. That does really make me happy. I got to tell you the truth, man. You come in here, we punch into positions. We never really know what's going on the other side of the screen. When you guys, drop lines like that, it does make me quite happy, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's like that. At the end of the day, all we want is everyone to succeed and win.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's going from $10 to $15 or $300 to $4K. It's such a hard game, and if you have the ability, if you have the ability to extract profit from the market, then congratulations to you. You have a skill that many can't achieve. So AFTR, I was gonna say it's tanking.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yeah.
It lures you in with the lower high and the bottom drops off. I've seen too much. These setups, they're no longer good. And you just have to trade the market that you're in. This is what I meant by that. It lures you in with a lower high, and then you get a monster breach of prior bar low, and now it's halted down.
Okay.
This is literally what I meant. And I got to start taking these short. Quite frankly, if they keep failing like this, why the hell am I not taking them short? Now, ATER might be expensive in terms of locates because it's done 1,000,002 shares on the day. But, the point is, the short setup on these ones.
Figure out how much they're going to cost you.
Well, that's exactly it, right? And then you can size in accordingly. That's a good point. There it is halted down, though, guys. Keep a lookout there. Can I just cover the last one here, the super, before we go on?
Yeah, cool.
Dustin Rhodes.
Who's Dustin Rhodes?
In your pantries.
I got $20 when Mag 7 should I buy? Thank you. Oh, okay.
I don't know what to say to that. Mag 7.
You can't really buy anything with $20.
You can get partials, Joe.
Oh, yeah, you can.
You can get partials.
Okay, let's do this right now then. Let's pull them all up. Let's talk about it.
Which one would you say off the top of your head?
Off the top, it's
I know
NVDA.
you're going to say Amazon. Oh, I thought you were saying
No, I was going to say, all right. Okay. No, you know what, Sharif?
Yeah.
I think the best one right now is Google.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Who can argue with that?
I don't think.
The Mag 7 ETF?
I think it has the best case.
Yeah.
I think it has. So there you go. You can buy a fractional.
You can buy fractional. I know you're joking, but it is possible to do just that, right?
Yeah.
If you are working and you want to get in little by little.
Even a better idea.
Go ahead.
Let's do this.
What do we?
All right, like we got $20, right? Like, just ask what's Buddy's name? What's that self-proclaimed real estate guy? You know who I'm talking about. No? Okay.
Sorry, say it again. I was reading the chat.
What's that real estate guy who, Grant Cardone?
Oh, yeah,
right?
the New York guy.
Yeah, what Grant, I think he's Miami, right?
He's Miami?
Yeah, what would Grant Cardone do? All right, we're going to figure it out right now. He'd probably do this. No, I'm obviously being extremely sarcastic. But let's head over to May 6th. That's not long enough. We want to go even further. Let's go to May 29th to see if we can even find anything close to that. No, it's not going to let us climb any higher. I mean, if we had the double up there, maybe that'd be a potential opportunity. So we're going to have to go even closer in a dated expiration cycle. $39, $17. There, this is what Grant would do, I think. So if he had that left, he went on this spiel. If he only had $1,000, he would said he'd somehow buy like a multi, like a duplex or something with that. I don't know how he would. Anyways, aside from that, guys, in all seriousness,
people do that in the States, man. They parlay. Well, dude, like, don't they have some programs there with like very little down payment, 5%?
Yeah, we have 5% here.
Yeah, but you got to get the insurance.
Yeah.
And I've seen like 1% and 2% some places. It's crazy. Like, it's high risk, obviously.
Mad high risk. How much, like, your carrying
Am I wrong about that, guys? Like,
be extremely high. I don't know how you could put 1% down. Like,
I'm pretty sure I read something like
just
that, man.
pure
Like,
interest. It's like,
well, yeah, you're paying interest for like the first 5-6 years anyway, right? Like,
anyways, aside from that, this $450 contract expiring in 17 days at 41% implied volatility, sitting at a cool right there $20. So that's all going to cost you, plus fees too. So we're already in a little bit of trouble. To start things off, we might have to go with this one. But no, in all seriousness, that's what individuals do. I want to talk about this for a quick second, considering, right, like this is where you see insane appreciation. So like if you were to buy, say, this $350 contract, where we're currently trading at right now, a couple of weeks ago before the market had that recovery rally, that's where you see that insane amount of returns. Right, so you just happen to be in the right place at the right time with some of these names, and that's how it works. Like, it's like, okay, and not saying that you need any form of an inside look or anything, but like, I mean, March 26th, this contract was worth $36 at the low, and then it climbs 3,410% in the span of essentially 29 trading sessions, right? So that's like substantial growth, and you don't typically see these styles of recovery. But when you go on these monster runs, like in AMD, we can go over an example of that momentarily. Okay. It's the same thing, right? Like AMD just goes on this insane bull run off of the lows. There's definitely a V-shaped reversal. And if you're an individual who's buying these cheaper options and you have this crazy exponential growth within the contracts, that's where you can see that like 4-digit returns within them. If you're paying for something that's at the money or already in the money, it's tougher to realize those gains just due to the nature of where you're currently sitting and what metrics, and from the Greek standpoint, are already priced in. So what really happens here when you're buying these extremely far out of the money contracts is that you have only one thing, and that's time value working in your favor, right? Extrinsic value. You have no, essentially your Greek exposure is minimal. But then as soon as you start to accelerate closer to that strike price, that's when you start to see those specific metrics, i.e. the gamma and your delta, really start to increase, and then add that on top with implied volatility starting to uptick as well. That's where you can see those substantial returns. It's much more difficult. Trust me, I've tried it countless times on at the money and in the money contracts. You just don't see that.
Well said, Joe. I had some comment over here. Listen to this, Joey.
Listen.
For them, by them, I mean the Americans, look what Johnny says. FHA loans are a minimum of 3.5% minimum DP, minimum down payment, for new home buyers buying a 2 to 4 unit multifam. So to get an insurance-free mortgage, you got to put up 3.5%. Joey, tell them here what the minimum down payment is for an insurance-free mortgage. Tell them.
I don't even know.
20%, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Big difference between 3.5 to 20, man.
As for the stress test. But if you look, but no, in all seriousness, so I actually bought the insurance in the grand scheme of things over the term of the whole thing. It was like, it worked out to be $1,000 a year.
I think
a little less
when I was breaking down the costs, about 17 or 18,000 total.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just 17 or 18,000 total.
In their pocket, right? But it's over the duration of the mortgage.
There you go.
If you break it down, like, it's not that much, but again, that's an additional 17 grand that they're pocketing.
Well, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And then the bank, it's like a public bank too. That's the thing. It's like, what is it called? CMHC? CMHC, Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And conventional is minimum, Mr. Leahy says. Minimum for no insurance, FHA insurance for the full loan term. To avoid PMI is 25%, says Fluffsters. Thank you, Fluffsters, for that. Thanks. This is great information, too. I'm in Toronto, too. Whereabouts in Toronto? Well, everywhere, brother. I mean, it applies all over Canada. Okay. A lot of different names being called out here. BIYA, though, is the one that I'm seriously starting to consider. I want to leave SOXS on there. But BIYA being called out by you guys because it's reclaimed VWAP. It doesn't look fantastic quite yet, but it's above VWAP, whereas, it spent almost an hour below. So that is something. And the deal is it has resistance at about 180 to 185. You could also make the case of 175 because look, none of these closing prints close above 175. So I'd like to see a little bit more. It's got the right formula right now. You've got a bunch of higher lows ever since putting in that area low into 153, so it defends a $0.50. Ever since then, it's a symphony of higher lows, but as you can see there, we're obviously below prior bar high. So BIYA in focus, but here comes SBLX again. This thing dropped all the way down to 370. Didn't quite make it down to my bias. My bias was 360 to 350, recall, because of these topping tail candles, but hey, close enough. And here it is again, well above 4, pardon me, into 420, 422 current bar high. High of the day, 440, up 67% and change. This one looks good. Whether it breaches prior bar high, moseys on above $5, and then ideally gets into that, 440, and then gets into $5, we'll have to wait and see. It's still putting in lower highs, though. If you keep an eye on that 1120 area high, look at the subsequent candle, 1125, lower high. Same thing with the 1130 candle. Same thing again for the 1135 candle. Not quite the same for these two, but when you connect these bad boys, still some lower highs there. I also want to point out a couple of different names here. MSTZ, this is an inverse ETF, obviously for MSTR. It feels like it's curling off VWAP here. Watch out for a breach of 650 and an attempt at 665. Obviously, you got to keep your eye on MSTR and crypto. SOXS has been very, very respectful of the 10 EMA on the 5. It's holding above 16, but there does seem to be sellers, I should say, in the low teens. So that is a look there. But SBLX, Joey, is ripping up, and here comes the high of the day. 435 high. We have to execute on this if it breaches the high of the day, because this is going to be a move into 5. Whether or not it breaches the 440 high of the day, your guess is as good as mine, but it is pretty close. So watch out here, guys. SBLX making a move. Keep one eye on SBLX, the other eye on BIYA, but don't go cross-eyed because that's not good. Adair.
Keep an eye here at Boeing. BA just spiked to low of days and then bounced here. Just so you guys know, Airbus, of course, one of its competitors, did report Q1 earnings in Europe. So it looks like they beat here on revenue, or again, above their prior guidance here for revenue. EBIT below their guidance. Q1 EPS is going to be well above their guidance, and they have not changed their outlook for 2026. So mixed Q1 2026 report. Full year 2026 outlook remains unchanged. BA, again, on watch here, sympathy with Airbus. Back to you.
You're good. You're good over there.
Yes, sir. I'm not in anything.
All right, I can ramble on for a couple of seconds.
Yes.
All right. So thank you, Bravely, for pointing this out.
Bravely.
Once again, over our viewers on TikTok, Dragon from the South gifting us, and then we also have Flip De Niro over there gifting us. So thank you guys very much, and glad that you're watching us on TikTok. Now, what I'm looking at here, I'm looking to get involved, but we're posted up at a key level here on NVDA to see if we can catch this fill as the market's slowly grinding higher. But there's a key support level that's coming into play, and what we can do to kind of weave out all of this noise is just go to a higher time frame and see if we're going to breach. So we continuously hit this level and then break through it. Okay, sorry, and bounce off of it, right? So are we going to find at some point a base, liquidity grab a little bit more, and then find a recovery? I think that can be the narrative. So I didn't get the low of the day, and there goes NVDA continuing to climb. All right, so we're not gonna punch, we're not gonna chase it or anything along those lines. We're gonna wait for that marker to come in because we want a specific level, and we're not gonna pay anything more, and we don't want to pay less would be nice, but we're not gonna pay an extended premium for what I feel like is going to be our prime and our best risk to reward ratio. Why? Because if I catch this fill over here at 102.25, then I'm wrong essentially at 25 cents opposed to me buying the higher end of this range and then getting stopped out. You're in SBLX again?
We have to do it, Joey.
All right, man, do it.
It's pretty. It's so pretty.
Yeah, that thing keeps going, eh? Well, I should be trading this thing.
Get in, man. Get in, man.
It's too late. I'm not a chaser.
Joey, it's on the way to 5. Well, I don't want to tell you what to do. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
All right. There goes SBLX into 454. We're in at the third of a dollar. Here's 55. We're about to breach prior day or intraday high, excuse me. There it goes again, Joey, into 58. SBLS is on its horse here. Now, where do we take it out? Boom! Into 2/3. Joseph options into 85%. Limit up. I just saw limit up there. Wow, this is ripping.
Yeah.
482 high. There goes SPLX. It's on the way to 516. I just saw their limit up. So we're going to have to breach 5, obviously, to get through into the halt. And I think breaching 5, it might be a little bit of a challenge here, at least initially. So let's see what SPLX has to offer. Let's see. I think I see support either at the $0.50 or the $0.25. So we're going to be looking to get in a little bit more here on SPLX if we can get some at the $0.50, if it holds up at the $0.50. If it loses the $0.50, I'm looking towards that third to a quarter. So Scalp City here, Scalp City on SPLX, guys. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Shout out to my man Ja, OG Darwin, I appreciate you. Henzi, my man, Hypercube, ha ha ha. I'm playing with small caps on TTP. Crushed it on SPLX. VWAP-ish entry. So VWAP-ish, so you're holding from 375, my man. That is a move. And we're going to hit the dollar club for you right there. Where is it at? Show yourself, dollar club. I don't even know where it is anymore, Joey. It's been a minute since I've been hitting it.
Okay.
I'm going to hit that.
Oh, you got a dollar club on
I
that?
used to. Back in the day. Oh, Assassino.
Oh, he
comes in fast and furious with that. All right, 482 high, Joe. We're showing 62, 65 right now. So we have a lower high in the current 5-minute candle. I don't think that's the end of the matter. I don't think 482 is the 5-ish touch we were talking about. I think we do get into the 90s. Let's see how this ends up moseying on up there. But good trade right now and good price action. Forget about my trade. Look at the price action on SPLX. Very supportive here of the longs.
Look at it. Yeah, I'm looking at a hater. It's kind of being a hater right now. South of the volume weighted average price. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to sell. Shri was talking about it. You failed to put in a new high, therefore establishing a lower high, and then you breach through the volume weighted average price with momentum. So maybe you'll find somewhat of a continuation there. Yeah, SPLX has been on fire, and it really doesn't even have that much volume. It's like 49 million shares, just like 50 million shares compared to the top 3. BIA has, how much does that one have? Okay, 165 million shares. We'll just head over to, this is essentially the scanner that he's looking at. So I'll go over SNDQ. I believe that's a leverage play here. Yeah, 2x short on Sandus. Palm, what have you been doing? I want to find something above the volume weighted average price and with volume, SEGG. Are we going to break through? Maybe you can, but you can see there's liquidity issues running into that noon hour. NEXR, Nexer, south of the volume weighted average price, you get that retest and you make that additional leg lower. So maybe that's going to be their narrative, retest and then boom, to the downside you go in continuation from a high of approximately $1.53. You see the larger names, and then now you're trading at $1.10. Okay, so that's a pretty substantial haircut in a short period of time. We're still posted up as the market's continuing to grind higher. I want to see if we're going to breach this trend and sit on the backside of it. That could be a green light. Sean and I were talking yesterday just in the fact that, okay, yeah, you have that initial selling, and then eventually when you're in these strong sentiment, like we kind of currently are, considering the runs that we've been on in the tech names, every dip just gets bought back up. Is it going to phase out? It doesn't seem to be the narrative right now because AMD right back up to $320, bouncing off of that 316 low. So what vehicles can we use? AMDL. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity. We're just going to wait for that right entry. We're posted up on NVDL for that dip buy, and if we get it, I wouldn't be surprised if we can continue to climb and recover with a high of all-time high of around $216 on NVDA. But I was saying that for a long time, man. I'm like, watch out for this name to put that in because we had the Marvells, we had the Broadcoms, and we had the AMDs all putting in that, and then we had the lagger, but then yesterday, super strong session, taps into 216 and pulls in a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just profit taking, and then eventually we can continue on that path.
Can I build on your point? I think you had like a sound idea there, which is AMD was gonna get the run. If you're a hyperscaler, Joey, right, aside from custom ASICs, which we already know they're pursuing for certain endeavors, agentic endeavors.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to have that flexibility that the GPU offers, and we went through this whole thing last week, right? Do you really want to be a one supplier, kind of company where everything is coming from NVIDIA in terms of GPU?
No,
again, not ASICs, right?
Exactly.
So you've got to diversify a little bit, not just because, number one, obviously spurring competition a little bit between the two, so you can get a bit better prices. You go to NVIDIA, be like, yo, Dr. Lisa Sue hooked me up.
But with that one,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, no, but the point is, you don't want to be a one supplier company.
And inventory is key, right? Like, what happens if he runs out of supply of this stuff? It's like,
exactly.
okay, and now you're sitting with your hands in your pocket trying to do your build out, and you don't have it. But also, we talk about Stargate here, right?
Bang.
Stargate in the Gulf country, AMD is a part of that. So I like this. I like what they got going on in AMD.
Leandra. Don't call her Leanna, though.
She said that her name
Got
is
very upset.
Lily.
Lele. Sharif. I'm selling my house in St. Petersburg. No, everybody's moving to Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater / Dunedin / many other things. It's that whole area. Get it, Neil?
Where's he
I know
going?
Neil's about that life. He knows exactly what that is. All right, selling my house in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's assumable at 3.75 API, 60K in my pocket. It's yours. It's 7 minutes from the beach and in the flood zone. Not in a flood zone.
Okay.
I would love to move to Florida, not just because it has good weather, but they're also, you know, they got good.
Moves like the waves,
boy.
always rolling. So stay in
happened
the
there?
game. Like, subscribe, let's go.
Hey, that was Ram Ram. Was that you, Ram Ram? Or was that Assassino?
Yeah, it was you on the beach.
All right, I'd love to go. I'd love to move to Florida. Obviously, can't do that. But Leandra, let me ask you a question. We got to go to Adara here for happening now. Then Neil has the lesson of the day. Can I ask you a question though? Because my understanding about Florida real estate is as follows: one, the insurance on the homes, because you need flood insurance. My understanding was, like, let's just say the cost of insurance for a home was about 1% of the home's value per year. I'm just giving you any number. I heard that number jumped from around 1% to like 4 or 5. You're having to insure your home for about 4 or 5%. Its cost on a yearly basis. I'm just throwing any numbers out there. All right, but the move up between whatever the number was to the current number was about 3 or 4 folds. So my understanding was that DeSantis, to counter that, because that's going to affect the price of the homes, right? Because you've got to factor that in as a running cost. He's dropping real estate taxes, as well as the price of the homes has come down as well. Am I accurate on that, or is that just sort of, you know, the media doing its thing and creating some controversy? I'd love to hear your answer on that, or anybody in the chat that can shed some light on that. But we'll have to wait for the response, Joey, because it's about 12 o'clock right now, which means we're going up to Adara for happening now. And Neil's got his lesson of the day.
Let's take a look here at this market. I mean, at day's lows here, there are some AI concerns that led to this drop for the most part. We'll get to that in a minute. But one catalyst that did give us at least a brief rebound, a little bit of reprieve here at 11 a.m. more or less, the CNN reporting saying that Iran's expected to submit a revised peace proposal, quote unquote, soon. So again, not a lot of information or detail provided by that headline. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like either way here, there could be more back and forth between the U.S. and Iran with the hope of peace. That's always a good sign. Here's AMZN. I want to bring this up because we did just get a headline with them. They have some kind of conference today here. Amazon Connect expanding into a set of agentic AI solutions. In no way is this a market moving headline necessarily. We got a little bit of a spike, but nothing massive. But just be aware here, Amazon on watch. I also want to talk here about the aforementioned AI headline that sent the likes of CoreWeave, Oracle, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA to the downside. We did have OpenAI reportedly, according to Wall Street Journal, failing to meet their revenue and user targets here. That does put potentially their IPO in question, or at least the size of their IPO gets put into question here. We had to talk as well about all of these earnings today. Before the bell, we had Spotify, Centene, UPS, GM, Coca-Cola, Corning, and then yesterday after the bell, you had the likes of BBBY, that's Bed Bath & Beyond, as well as Rambus, RMBS, Amcor, AMKR, Celestica. The list goes on and on. But tonight, the list gets even better. You get Robinhood at 405. You've got Visa, Enphase, SCX, Mondelez, Starbucks, Bloom Energy. Join us at 4 for this earnings recap. It should be a big one. It should be an exciting one. And we'll have it right for you live. But in the meantime, you know what else we have right for you live? Neil and a lesson of the day. So Neil, pray tell, what lesson do the people need to know?
Let me think about that for a second there, Adair. Well, I've already been thinking about it, but I always want the lesson to be something that either was learned today. I can't really make that argument for myself, but something that I think can be gleaned from the day's trade. And that's, again, the notion of how do you get consistent and how do you evaluate your trading? And I think one of the more important things is to, and I say this often, and a lot of times this is the tone, you've got to get past whether or not on a particular stock or a particular, it could be like a sector, whether you're up, down, left, right, center on it. Because every trade is going to be different. And it's not always, like sometimes you might be trading a stock and you're taking the same setup multiple times, you're buying off a support level. Okay, if you buy off a support level on a stock and then you buy it later in the day, you might consider that apples to apples, and that's fair. But you might also find a situation where that's not the case, where you're doing multiple separate trades. And the reason I actually want to bring this up is because I have 3 very distinct trades on Intel. Now, whether I might be up on Intel today, I am, but it's really about how do you make sure that when I'm trading 3 distinctly different things, I'm able to then go forward the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of the quarter, the rest of the year, and properly evaluate those particular strategies. And it does come from defining it, right? So it should be pretty easy to see. At least one of these is like a standard, it's trending higher, it's a trend break on a strong stock into the volume weighted average price. Then there's like a lunch day scalp trade off of the volume weighted average price here, where I'm playing more inside of the range because it's lunchtime with a very, very tight stop. The trend break trade has a medium stop. And then I had the open trade, which is a wider stop. And if you look at, if I'm shooting for VWAP here on the trend trade, you're risking 30 to 40 pennies. VWAP down there is going to give you double that. If I'm doing a scalp trade, the risk on this one was about, I don't know, it was like 7 or 8 cents. And at the absolute best, I'm getting 50, but most of it you're getting out sort of in that 30 to 40 cent area, right? So it's all about the risk to reward inside of that range. When I look at the open trade, I literally have to go to a different time frame to show you the scale of that trade, because I'm shorting it basically off of this breakdown. I don't have the breakdown, but I am shorting it under VWAP, was effectively the same price to give it to this stop. Well, we're targeting this gap here, like effectively from that bottom, which lines up there, that bottom, to that bottom. So I'm looking immediately for about $1.50, which is much wider than any of those other trades. Like you can't remotely compare these trades together. Like it's just completely different in terms of the scale, the type of move you're looking for. One you could be holding it, if I get this one to work, I could be holding it all day. Neither one of these two am I really anticipating it's gonna be that kind of an all day hold. They're much more of a scalp range. So you have 3 separate, very distinct, completely separate strategies on the same stock. And you have to be able to do this when you're looking at your trades. And then I know, like let's say, like I'm in AMD for kind of an inside scalp trade as well. Like if I'm looking at this AMD trade where I'm holding it off of the tiny little consolidation in the 15, looking for the top end of the range there, I know that I can compare that to this trade on Intel, not to this. It doesn't fit into that category at all. And that way, when I'm going over how did my strategies do over the course of a quarter, and is this one working, is that one, I have an idea of what is working and what is not working. If you don't split those things up, you could be sitting there every single day losing on, like, say, your VWAP trades, but because you're catching like but I'm catching this good opening move on the chip names when I play them, you're ignoring the fact that you're giving it back on the VWAP trade every single day or a separate strategy. And then you cannot adapt in real time to what the market is trying to tell you because you're not even bothering to classify the types of trades that you are making. And I see this time and time again from traders. Like they'll sit there and they'll have this opening range strategy which works for like X. And then they'll have these other strategies which are just sitting there, and either they could be costing them the rest of their day, or they could be constantly bleeding, but they're not losing as much as they make on the open strategy. So they're just like, yeah, but I'm up on the stock. Yeah, but then it doesn't make sense. If you're losing 70 to 80% of the time on a midday trade, but on those same stocks when they set up a different setup at the open, you're making more, you're not going to notice that you're throwing away money in the midday as well as you should because you're not separating and reclassifying those strategies. And ultimately, when you can do that, like I said, a bit of a scalp strategy inside range on AMD. It's against the grain. It's playing it inside of this consolidation. Tiny trend break to go into here. So I know what I'm looking for in that spot. And I can't compare it to if I had traded it at the open. If you traded AMD at the open, taking like this breakout or that breakout, how is that comparable to this? You can't. So it's not just about being up or down on a stock. It's not just about being red or green. It's about whether you properly evaluate your individual strategies, how they are working relative to one another. Because I have to tell you, the majority of traders who do not consistently make money don't do this. And when they don't do it, you're hiding. It's not just that you're hiding what's going wrong, is you're not going to be able to see what's going right clearly for yourself. And if you can't do that, you can't do less of the stuff that doesn't work and more of what does work. That's the most important thing. Classifying each trade, each setup, each strategy as individually as you can is going to help you so much in your trading. The chicken was pretty good. The potatoes, not done the best. The potatoes, let's just say they probably could have cooked them a little bit more, a little raw. At least mine were. But the chicken was delicious, I can tell you that. The salad looks legit. I haven't even touched this salad, but this looks pretty good. It's got like a little apple in there, strawberry, corn apparently, which is a kind of a weird look when there's apple and strawberry, but I'll take it because it has good stuff in it. So the barbecue chicken was solid, no complaints there, but I don't know about those potatoes. I can't give it a full grade because I haven't eaten enough of the lunch just yet. We'll see you guys back at 2 o'clock. Good luck in the midday, and maybe this market can get off its schneid.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neil. That I really like today's lesson. That was about especially becoming myopic about your setup. You don't even know. Anyway, you guys heard it from the man himself. Shout out to my man, Neil. Guys, $5 high a day. In fact, it's 506. I was in at 89s, and I did wet the beak at 5. I got stopped out because it lost 80. What the hell is happening here? Is your data stopped? Your data stopped. Yeah. Okay. Neil, is your data? Yeah, Neil's data stopped as well. We're back. Yeah, we're good.
We're frozen
oh
again.
No, it stopped again, Joey.
Yeah, I know, man. There we go. A nice little move to the downside. We're going to open up lower here on NVDA. Now it's back. All right, guys, we're short off of this peak. If it breaks that, it's only a couple of pennies worth of risk. I don't know how much this is going to go to the downside. We had about 20 cents right there. I'm now starting to find somewhat of a rebound as we are on the backside of things. I've just seen a couple of inverted. I want to take a stab on this for somewhat of a lengthy pullback. This price action on the top side relatively weak, but as soon as we crack there, we just get out of dodge to see if that, it's strong, man. And I'm not going to be buying it all the way up here. If it wants to grind, it can grind. We just take a little bit of a tester here just to see what the sentiment is like. If it's going to continue to do this, then we have no part in shorting this market right now as we are slowly starting to rebound. And there it goes, right? So we'll just hop out of this trade here, guys. Small potatoes. Nothing big, and we'll look for something else. Tesla's starting to head towards the low. That ATER looking like it wants to put in a new low here, and then we also have IBIT that's rejecting VWAP, so maybe you get an additional leg lower here, so we'll look for the short side move on IBIT there, Sharif. So we're going to post up, we're going to get that level that we want and limit in instead of just punching in on Frex, which tends to be a little bit more expensive. We get a break of the support level at 103.18, then off to the races. I think we can get into that next pivot level, so let's be patient to see if this one's going to work out for us. I don't like seeing it get bought up that quick, considering we were 20 cents ITM on that one right out of the gate, but now we're just hovering around this area. I think there's some quote issues there going on with our platform, but nonetheless, let's send it off to Adara.
Just be aware, guys, a couple Meg 7 catalysts came through while Neil was doing his lesson. Neither of them massive, but I think both worth knowing. Meta on watch here. First of all, near low of days still. U.S. reportedly ending its investigation into some claims that WhatsApp chats aren't private. So looks like META getting off scot-free here, unscathed with this investigation. Then you've got NVDA, also not really moving at all here, but they're announcing their Nemotron 3 Nano Omni model. So this is going to be combining visual, audio, and language capabilities. It'll make AI agents up to 9 times more effective. It'll be available starting today on various platforms. Back to you.
Yeah, Elon's been making that argument a lot lately. And he doesn't even really dislike Zuck. I've never really heard any beef between the two, but he's been making the point lately that WhatsApp is not as secure as they make it out to be. Yeah, that's what he says, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
Joey, I just want to mention one quick one that showed up here, and thank you to Outlaw Trader bringing this one to my attention. KOPN. Ripping up off that 340 low. Guys, there was one entire red candle from 11:15 to the candle that now is currently red at 12:10, and it happened to be this small booger right here at 11:35. But this was ripping up, and it is at the high of the day, 441. Let's just take a quick look here at the 30-minute chart. Okay, so let's go quickly to the daily. Let's get an idea. Okay, so KOPN has been on that illegal stuff, Joey, because this has been ripping up lately ever since the 31st of March. It's been all basically higher lows, higher highs. Look at the respect for KOPN here on the 10 EMA on the 5, on the daily, on the 5, 10 EMA on the daily, pardon me. So KOPN, one to watch out for here. I'm not in love with this candle, this kind of doji candle with equidistant upper wicks and lower wicks, but hey, we'll keep an eye on it. 405 is the 10 EMA, and then you have 4 support. Price action showing me supported around 390, which also overlaps with VWAP. So KOPN in focus. Also, SBLX failing $5. So you have a double top into 5, dropping though. Look where it's dropping into. Lo and behold. Well, I love when this happens. When the 10 EMA kind of overlaps or jives with the price action resistance. So we know that there was resistance between 420 to 430, 4 1/3, let's just say that, right? That was a bit of a shelf there that we had from 1120 to when we broke through at 1150, comes back in there holding. Now, whether or not it breaches 5 on a closing basis, we'll have to wait and see. But that's a big gnarly retracement there. But I think the trend is still intact. This one could test 5 later, but I'm not going to be a part of it at the moment until it sets up a little bit differently. And this is the point I want to make. I want to just call your attention to the top left and the bottom left of my black charts here, okay? I want to make the case about this trend break lower high kind of setup. So let's just look at ATER. Look at this. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Trend break. Lures everybody in. Topping tail candle into 139, 140. Tanks. Loses VWAP. That's one of those trades that I've been talking about that I used to feel were good setups, and now I'm almost feeling the exact opposite way. That's ATER. Look at BIYA. Same garbage. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Trend break. Lures you in with a lower high into 185. Loses VWAP into 150. So these ones are, I used to have this bias that they were great, long setups. Maybe in certain markets, definitely not this one, and certainly not the market that we've had, I want to say, in the last month and a half, because it feels like that's how often, or that's how long, I should say, these ones have been failing. So that is an observation that I want to make there. Lastly, keeping an eye here on KOPN. No trades on this. I'd like to see what it does in and around 410, 4. If it catches a bid with some volume, we'll get back in. And I want to say KOPN here has done some decent shareage on the day to the tune of 16.7 million shares. And look when the shares started coming in late in the day, 11:30. Like, look at that. These volume bars just dwarf. They're dwarfed, I should say, by the recent volume bars over here, starting essentially at 11:30. So a lot of volume coming in KOPN, but it is being here set up with a doji candle now, a red candle will make a new low. So nothing for me at the moment. If there are any small cap gappers making their way up at, I see POM is kind of right into the high of the day. It's not my favorite, but tag me. Let me know what these ones are doing, and we'll have a look at it, Joey.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, we're just still sitting in this trade. Like, I feel like I'm not going to say that we have this top up here. We can continue. We can break through it. We're just pennies away, right? I'm ready to get out of it. Otherwise, we're going to get this breakdown. But you can see every dip just continuously gets bought back up. We'll be patient. I think we're positioned relatively well for this to come in. And I'm not looking for that move in towards the low of the day. It's just into that next pivot level in any form of a pullback, because we've had 5, 10, 15, like 25 minutes of straight buying on relatively low volume. But it's this name, right? Like, so it's just like, if you can get in at the dip. I wanted it for the long, but we just never caught that fill, which is it is what it is, right? But nonetheless, market not doing too much. It's a complete danger zone, and just be cautious in case you start to get chopped up a little bit. A lot of overlapping candles, as I tend to say, and you can see that in the SPY. You have to try and catch the higher end of the range. I was thinking about the short here on IBIT, just below the volume weighted average price, maybe for a move lower, and you get into that next pivot zone. If you can break the support, then you just get out of it. But yeah, we're super small on this trade, a little bit of a feeler on NVDA. I wouldn't be surprised if it grinds back to VWAP, but it's just consecutive buying, but just low volume. So at some point, I thought we'd see a little bit more of a...
That's how much it costs now?
Yeah, it's mad expensive, dude.
Hold on. I remember you were always on this.
Yeah, I've always.
It was never that expensive.
Yeah, no, it's expensive.
What
it's like the Nasdaq, like the triple Qs before it did its split, it was over like $100, right? So I mean, there it is, and you have a big time run up in NVDA as well, too, breaking through the all-time high. This is a leveraged product, so you're going to see double the increase on NVDA than what you're going to see on the actual underlying asset. So it's holding up really well here. So we have to be prepared to get out, but I do like us for a curl over. We can start to see that we're forming this resistance zone, and that's a prior resistance zone at 210. So now we come in, we break this pivot, and then I think we can head a little bit lower. So bang, there it goes, starting to sell, but this is key. If they step right back in and grind price higher like they're doing right now, not necessarily the best thing. That can be signs of a strong stock. And we'll take one attempt on the short side. We're not going to hold on to it for too long. And if it decides that it wants to continue to move higher, then we got to find a way to join the party, not necessarily go against it, right? So you can get in a little bit of trouble with that. And it may take longer for that play to come into fruition. So there it is. Looking at IBIT, what are we going to do? It might be just sit on our hands for a little bit and wait for the market to find a definitive direction. Yeah, so there it goes. We're all out of there on NVDA.
All right, guys, shout out to Fluffsters. ONEG. And then she's like, no, I take it back, lower volume. Yeah, it's got 100.
Frozen again.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah, I see that. It's frozen on 420, Joey.
You're coping?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
My mad. But one G. Oh, God. ONEG. Look, Fluffsters, it's not bad. 192,000 shares. The spread on this, though, what is the hot? Okay, let's take a quick look. I can't quite make out the spread on this, so 25. It should show up here. Oh no, it's not showing up, Fluffy, because I put 250,000 shares minimum. Let's look at it on one of these. 1G. All I need is one day. Yeah, that's too rich for my blood, Fluffy. 878 on the ask, 855 on the bid, so about 23 pennies worth of spread there. But yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. Moss back 123. Sharif, ABSI went like 20% yesterday. Keeping up today, considering selling last of my shares. Say less. Let's have a look on APSI. Let's look at the multi-day, Joey. We're going to put the 15 over here, get a better look. Okay, so this one was a monster. Look, man, look, I never tell you what to do. We're never going to give you financial advice because we're not qualified to do that. But if you were asking what I would do on this one, here's what I see. This is yesterday's high, 488. Today's high is 5.
Wow, we keep freezing, man.
Pardon me?
Keep freezing.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue, Joey.
Yeah, you can't.
So you have a higher high, right? Yesterday, as I mentioned, the aftermarket too, with the volatility halt parameters and all. The closing print, 485, the aftermarket high, 488. Today, we haven't closed out yet, so you don't know where the price action is going to go. We could sell off, but I don't think so. $5 is the high, and then look at the low. What's yesterday's low? Well, it's essentially the opening print at 930, give or take, 385. Let's go 380, the worst case scenario. What's today's low? 8 o'clock, lows 441. Higher highs, higher low. Ride the trend. Ride the trend. Look, you know, that's what I would do. I'm not telling you what to do, though. But great hold by you. Way to hold overnight. Way to hold true to your convictions. Shout out to you. I hope you print up multiple storms. iMoto UI. Sharif. ATER is trying to come back. You think it rejects 120, 125? Let's have a look. So ATER disappointed me, much like BIYA, for the reasons that I articulated earlier, which is it lures you in with that break of the trend and then ends up setting up a lower high. We're still suffering from that same affliction, which is the lower high trade. So, does it get through 120, 125? I love how you're looking at that, though. That's quality TA by you, because there's clearly a 125 support shelf here with only one breach, and that's the 1125 bar, which went to 122, ended up closing at 125. So the fact that you're looking at 120 to 125 is aces in my book. I like that. Now, whether or not it breaks above it, your guess is as good as mine. It's struggling right now, south of volume weighted average price, having wicked through it, closing below it. Can I say something to you, though? Even if it does get above 125, wouldn't that be the same setup that we got lured into over here, where, you know, you could make the argument, okay, well, this one certainly got resistance at 140. Look at this print. Look at that print. And then over here as well, even the 1050 bar, all rejections at 140. Well, guess what it did? It lured us in. This bar high there, that lower high, ended up taking us into 139. Then it dropped and lost VWAP all the way down, and it got a low of 107. So even if it does get above 120 to 125, it's still setting you up for that same nonsensical lower high trade that, you know, essentially it's kind of a bull trap. So ATER, not for me at the moment. But there goes Copen. KOPN, beautiful hold here off 410. Now we may be regaining trend. This current candle looks good, right? Bounces off the 10 EMA, clean. But upon further inspection, it's still a lower high and it's still a lower low. Thankfully, we've opened up a new candle at 1225. Let's see how this candle ends up going. Does it breach prior bar high? Does it get above 435, or is it going to lose that 410 area? So going to keep a close eye here on KOPN. I think this is setting up better than all the others. Maybe as SBLX can mosey on above 450, maybe it doesn't, but KOPN is definitely in view for me. Where is my KOPN screen? There it is. So here we are coming into 430 again on Copen. So prior bar high, we just breached it. We just took out prior bar high. Current bar low is the low of this candle. So it's 427. We've got a 1 penny spread on this one, Joey. Okay. So I'm definitely going to execute here, I think, as we mosey on up. We're looking to take out 441. That is the high of the day. So good look here on KOPM, but looks like there's some selling coming in at 30 pennies. Dang, son. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about this one a little bit more. I'm just worried about the lower high, right? Because then we get in to that 430, we don't claim it on a closing basis, and then it ends up being a lower high, and then we end up losing 410 maybe on the subsequent candle. So yeah, I'm not going to execute quite yet on KOPN. I'm keeping an eye though on SBLX and KOPN. Those look to be the best of the bunch at the moment. ATER and BIYA. They're not clean setups right here, so they don't get me involved. But these two here, KOPN, SBLX, I think they're still within the trend. So that's what I'm looking at, Joe.
Good stuff. I want to see who we have this weekend. I know iGrow Fighting was talking about some fights. Oh, okay. So we have Della Maddalena, okay, versus Carlos. Oh, you have. Oh, UFC? Really? Yeah, UFC in Australia. So it's gonna start like bright and early Saturday morning. No, okay, so you guys have practice? Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, he might win, but I think Jack's pretty good in my opinion. He's a good striker, just ground game not that good. All right, aside from that, guys, we got out of NVDA. That freeze within the tape wasn't too good for us, so. I mean, other than that, it was just extremely small size. Looking for something, just where we're currently sitting at in the market, it makes it a little bit more tougher to find the trade. If you're going for the continuation, we tried the short off of these two specific prints right here, and then sure enough, it just continuously got bought up, and then we want to get out, but then we catch a little slippage on that strong uptick, and then the platform froze on us. But yeah, nonetheless, we did have a little bit of a move lower. Nothing in order for me to take profit. We wanted to wait for that 1.5 or that 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So we'll be patient. Are we going to break down in Bitcoin? Top end of the range would be more ideal. If it breaks through VWAP, you can have a pretty tight stop on this one. But we're just really chopping around, moving eastward at this current moment. What has USO been up to on the day? I know we haven't really talked about it too much, so I want to pull it up and see what we have. considering the market, I'm not the biggest fan. Okay, so we're not too far off all-time highs on USO here, Sharif. I mean, only a couple percentage points, 3.8% to be exact. And then you have this big-time move after you sold off for a couple of days where you gain another 27.7%. So, I mean, both equities and USO continuing to climb. And we had that inverse correlation for quite some time, but nonetheless, over the past couple of weeks, that hasn't been the narrative. So what we will do is we'll be patient and look for some more opportunities. That we have NVDA heading right back towards our entry price. So that was our only attempt on this one. We rejected VWAP. That would have been a pretty good entry, and it would have gave you about 40 cents, 45 cents or so. But we're looking for more. Are we going to continue or are we going to head lower? That's my question. And once we have the ability to kind of find which direction we want to continue to trend in, then by all means we can place a trade. So there's another clean flush to the downside. Is there a volatility spike stepping into the market? Let's take a look at the NASDAQ and the Qs. We have officially broken trend. Okay, so you have this downtrend from the intraday session, and then sure enough, on the 10 minutes, you're on the backside. You have a 10-minute candle opening on the backside of that, and then now you slowly climb back higher towards VWAP, but you have the inability to breach it. Are we strong? Are we weak? I think that's a question that has yet to be answered. Even though we are trading south of VWAP, sellers do seem to be in control. So let's see if we can find some good entry points here.
Here goes Copen, guys. We're in at 34. Here's 44. We're looking for profits at 45. Copen is holding up. It held cleanly at the 10, selling. There is the print at 45. So we get 440. How'd I get the print at 45 there when my high is showing 444? But it's turning back here, guys. This is turning into a topping tail candle. My out is current bar low. Current bar low is 27. It's technically 26 and a half. But we just opened up a new candle here on the 5, and we haven't closed above 40. We wicked into the high of the day. That's a good wick, but there's no closing prints. Watching intently here. I'm looking for trend to hold. So I'm going to leave my stop exactly where it is, okay? My bias here is we mosey on up to the $0.50. If we do that, I'll wet the beak along the way. But I don't want to be forced out of the trade if a higher low trend is holding, and that's what we're getting right now. Ever since that candle that touched the 10 EMA on the 5, I'll tell you exactly, the 1220 candle, we have been putting in higher lows. So I definitely got to keep an eye here. Wet the beak at 45. I'm looking for the $0.50. So that's what we're going to do. We're keeping a close eye here on Copen, KOPN. Not a big, but a decent technical hold at a very predictable area. Get it, Ram. All right, so that's what we're looking for there. People are telling me, Fluffsters is telling me ATLN. All right, let's take a quick look at Atlan for Fluffy. What the Fluffy? ATLN, what do we got here, Fluffy? Yeah, okay. What do we got? Volume, okay. Well, this one's closing in on 1 million shares, 910,000. Nice topping tail candle, Ram, into about $2.23 over here. Looks like there is resistance, though, Fluffy, at 215, because you don't have any closing prints above 215, so that's something to look out for. But that's a gnarly, recovery off the area low. Holds generally 1 3/4, pops up into about almost 2 1/4. So that's ATLN up 34 2/3% on the day, having done now 943,000 shares. So thank you for calling out that one. I'm actually going to put that on the side chart in case it picks up more volume there, because I do like the percentage up on the day. Continuing to watch KOPN. It's not closing above 40. There's definitely a seller at 40 pennies that we really can't shake on a decisive basis, but I'm not getting out of this trade until prior bar low is breached. Prior bar low gets breached at 426.5. I put my out 427, okay? So maybe I end up getting forced out a little bit early, but my bias on Copen, KOPN, is that we mosey on up into the $0.50 or thereabouts. When I say the $0.50, it could mean like 53. It could also mean like 48 or 47. You never really know, right? You don't know who's going to step in where. Here we go into the high of the day again, Joseph. 44s, triple fours on KOPN. We got 34s. I'm looking for a high of day breach, and there it is, into 45. Looking for a little bit more now. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. Waiting. Big selling here at 45. Nope. There's 44, flashing 45. There was a bunch of sell orders and buy orders coming in all at the same time, but it is now at 445 high. No continuation, though, quite yet into the $0.50, but watching intently.
Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Lele. So my boy, can you check out JPM?
Lele Pons?
For Cools, love Coolies. Anyways, got a call for May 26th, 312. Yeah, let's take a look at some of the banks and the financials here.
312
we don't typically do that. What's that?
312 for the players as well. Sorry.
I don't care. Oh.
You don't know about that?
312 for the players.
112 were the players well, so I switched it to 312. So.
No, what does that mean?
It's from a song.
Oh,
yeah.
What song?
It's Mobb Deep. No, it's. Help me out, Neil.
All right.
Forget who it is, man. The chat will fact check
right,
me
man.
now.
We'll figure that out there. I believe May 15th, you said within May, you have that 312 strike price. Let's see. What did you say on there again, my boy? May 26th. All right, yeah, let's see what we got going on, how much you pay for that, and see if this is going to work for you. I don't see anything from the May 26th expiration cycle. I mean, 2026, you want to get a little bit more detail. At the end of the month, 312.5. I don't see anything there either. So I don't know where you find the strike price. Probably this one, May 15, 17 days from now. Let's see. I mean, the banks haven't been performing that well. And I mentioned this not too long ago. Once they start to find a little bit of a balance, then I think it can help send the SPY a little consideringly higher than what we're currently seeing it. The market getting that curl over that we were talking about not too long ago. So the SPY coming back in towards the low of the day, that VWAP sell coming into play, and the exact same thing as you're starting to head back towards the low. Double top almost right here. Couldn't quite push into that level, and then now we're starting to pick up momentum to the downside. AMD with an inverted at those highs, and then NVDA holding up relatively well. But this is the support level we were talking about on Bitcoin. So maybe we can find a trade there on IBIT. Let's get involved for the continuation. If it breaches VWAP, then we just get out of the trade. But I mean, I thought we were going to get a bounce and some movement just a little bit earlier on that on the NVDA short, but that's okay. We had that nice IBIT trade in the morning, and then we'll look for some more opportunities as the day passes on. Come on, big dog, we all love you, Joe. No, I'm not. No, I'm good. I'm good, brother. What do you mean? Told you around this time it's the caffeine. It's boom, boom, boom. To the downside. Okay, there it is. Sharif, just a little bit earlier on that one. Just a little too early on the NVDL short as it's really starting to pick up momentum to the downside.
I'm starting to see a little resistance here on Copen in the mid to low 40s. I'm going to leave my stop where it is, below the bar low. So it's not prior bar anymore. It's actually the 1225 bar. So current bar, we opened up a new candle, 1235. So prior bar high, the 1230 bar. Okay, I'm gonna have to go on the multi-time frame because it's not letting me mouse over. KOPN. So prior bar, the 1230 bar has a high of 445 and a low 436. Current bar, which just opened, 442 high, 440 low. So there's definitely resistance here in the mid to low 40s, whether or not we breach trend. Now, what I can do is I can lock in profits by moving up my stop to prior bar low, right? Prior bar low will take me to 436. That would lock in profits. So then I wouldn't be giving up anything at that level. And it's exactly what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go 435. So let's go ahead and throw that on there, and we'll just give it a little bit of room. So we'll see what we get here on KOPN. It feels a little top heavy, not gonna lie. But, you know, I've seen this story before where I end up taking it a little too early. So I'm just going to let it go. We've already taken profits on it. And now that I've moved up my stop, no part of this trade can go against me unless there's insane amounts of illiquidity and I get slippage. Here we go again, into 44. Remember, high day is 45. I'm waiting up here at 47s. And then we're going to wait for the next profit taker above 50, should that happen. So again, selling at 44, not even making it up into 45, but we have higher lows on the trend, so the trend is still there, but you know, there it is again, a big drop into 45. Watching here, let's look at the selling here at 45, because this is the high of the day. So you can tell it's a hidden order, iceberg order already, just based upon the fact that barely anything is coming off the exchanges here of what's posted. Let's see if we can get a price spike up. Nope. Into 46, so not even moving even into the mid print, like 45 and a half, 45 and a quarter. I didn't see anything like that come in on the time and sales. All I'm seeing is 43s and 44s at the moment, so nothing doing there, Gabe. All right, Hell's Gate, there it goes into 46, and there is a new high of day. Now we need a couple of more shekels. It's got to cross 47 for me to get the print, and then we're going to wait for 50, should that break. But Hell's Gate is saying SEGG is going. You guys have been pointing out that name a bunch lately. And there it goes, Joey. I'll get to SEGG in a second, but there goes Copen into a new high of day of 449. We wet the beak at 47s. Now my bias is I hold for the $0.5 breach, and there it is, into 53. The shorts are in trouble. All right, let's watch now. Let's see how high we can get. Is it just a perfunctory breach of the $0.5, or are we going to get a little continuation into 55? That's another high of day. Nope, no continuation quite yet. I'm looking for 58, 59. Probably a bad idea, because if it gets up there, it's probably moseying on up into 2/3. But hey, we're going to look to take profits at some place, man. We just can't hold forever. And there it is again, Joey. 57 showing up here. 58 just showed up. Boom! Into the high. 59s. Looking for a little bit more here on Copen. The shorts are in trouble. Watch out here. Let's see if we can get into 2/3. Nope. Some aggressive profit taking here, dropping back into the $0.5. A good trade here. Happy with how this one went. Definitely like the fact that I moved up my stop to account for the higher lows, but wish I had a little bit more shares. I was not as convicted in this one, just based on the fact that, you know, it was a little bit slower of a mover, but a good trade nonetheless. We'll pack the patience here, Joey.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, there it goes, man. I mean, we're not going to just sit here and dream. But, man, I had the hunch that we were going to sell aggressively here on NVDA with that price action. Should have just re-engaged at the rejection of VWAP. Boom, and then off to the races it goes. Gives you a big-time move there, guys, from 14 to 13s. So you catch $1 just like that, Nick Diaz. Nice, my guy. We all love you for reals. I was just thinking, it's crazy. 5 people sit here and watch you guys. You imagine in real life all 5K of us sitting here in person. Yeah, that'd be crazy, to be honest with you. It's a very well, the way you put that is very well. I mean, it's a I'm not going to say a stadium, but that's a pretty big amount of people. But then you have the accounts like Mike Peter Ryder, who accounts for like 4 out of the, so he has 1. How many people have multiple accounts? But nonetheless, man, it's a lot of people for sure. Imagine fighting or boxing in front of that amount of people. It'd be crazy, man. It's a 5th of some of the stadiums that we have.
Crazy.
But nonetheless, guys, let's get right back in here. We have Tesla.
To BMO Field, bro.
Pardon me?
Shout out to BMO Field.
Yeah, shout out. Everybody's talking. What was Adam James going on about the scaffolding there?
Bro, like, have you looked at, I know you live around the place. I don't want to give away where you live, obviously, but it's a big area. There's lots of people.
You can come knocking on my door. That's for sure.
Dude. Did you see the bottom of the raft, like the high up area?
No.
The bottom is not connected to anything.
Oh, yeah?
I guess like the engineers redistributed the weight on the inside, but there's an area where the poles just hang in there, Joey.
Oh, really?
It's very unsettling.
Oh,
if I can find a picture of this and show you guys, it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Dude.
I trust the Canadians.
Have you seen the facilities inside BMO?
Yeah.
Like, it looks
not
like
really.
the concrete jungle. We don't have a nice, stadium experience in there. It should have been at the Dome, the Rogers Center. We call it the Sky.
You think so?
Because look at the stadium experience inside the Dome.
Yeah. It's nice. Like they did the renovations
dude.
and everything.
Restaurants everywhere, bars everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Liberty Village is going to be an absolute wreck. I'm not looking forward to that. But nonetheless, guys, I mean, Tesla's starting to bottom. You can see that there was a nice higher low pattern being formed here. We took our 1 stab so far. We had that I bid earlier in the day, and now we're just looking to participate in some more trades here. So let's find something. Are we going to hold up this trend line higher, low, higher, low, higher, low? So multiple touches on this specific trend line. What is this timeline going? Data is that's what we don't even have that up right now. Get with it here, platform. Oh my geez, there it is, a strong uptick as we have the SPY about to breach the low of the day. Who is leading us in that direction? Is it the XLF? It might be, guys. We have to pull up XLF to see what's going on with that. A curl over turtle shell price action over there. This is madness. I mean, the chop fest is on, so you want to catch the lower end of the range, and that's kind of my objective right now, to see if we can get in at a good place. My friend's going to Houston and Miami for the games.
No way.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? I might have to hitch along. I don't even care to watch the football. I just want to just go.
It's an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah. To watch the football.
Soccer,
Whatever. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, Australians call it soccer too.
Do they call it
just North
soccer?
Americans.
Yeah, it's just not North America.
Yo, can I say something to you, though?
Yeah, for sure.
There's been a lot made about the pricing of some of these tickets. You know that, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. There's like a boycott movement against the World Cup right now because they're trying to rinse everybody.
You know what I mean, They always try to do that, but at the end of the day, there's going to be someone who's going to pay it.
Dude, the
doesn't even
Qatar
matter.
tickets, like in 2022, one second there, that 2022 were like a third of the price of what they're selling it. Like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that people in the Middle East don't have money?
Yeah.
In Qatar and Dubai? Go ahead.
So I went down a rabbit hole because I like brochures and this type of thing. And the little private suites that they have that you can get for FIFA, these are insanely priced. Like some of these are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when you look at the photos, it's almost always the same photo, which makes me think these suites aren't even built yet. You're spending money on something that doesn't get to be built. So yeah, just an interesting another aspect of this, not just the tickets, it's the weird like privacy suites that I feel like they must be making tons of money on. And again, I don't even think a lot of these are constructed.
Yeah, I don't even think they're permanent.
It's like Firefest.
Yeah. I don't even think these suites are permanent.
Oh, yeah?
Honestly,
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, no one's forcing you to pay that amount. So I get it. You want to go and watch the soccer, but it's the demand and people, the consumer who are willing to pay the price that's essentially driving it up like that. You see what I mean?
It's like if you're a consumer, right? No one's doing
forcing
that.
you to hit
but
the
like,
button.
how often does a World Cup come into your backyard?
Yeah,
and so then you feel
sure,
kind of like, okay, I was gonna spend $1,500. What's another $500? So you end up paying $2,000, and then all of a sudden that $2,000 ticket sold out.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna pay $2,000. What's another $500 on? You know what I mean? It's a little annoying,
I understand.
bro.
It's mad annoying. I get it. You want to have that experience that you don't get to very often. Like, it's only a once in a lifetime, essentially. You won't see the World Cup probably come here. But at the end of the day, no one's forcing your hand to hit that button.
No one is.
Yeah.
You're
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
right. It's just like just because no one's forcing you doesn't mean that it gives them license to rinse you.
No, it doesn't.
I mean?
It doesn't. But people are doing it, which is like the incentive to like, hey, let's just jack these things up. Listen, I love the Leafs, but it's just not worth going to watch.
But you know your boy Big Dougie. So when I say Big Dougie, guys, I'm always referring to the premier who's like the governor of this province, right? So Big Dougie is tabling legislation, which ironically his government killed when it took over from the previous government, but he's bringing it in nonetheless. You will not be able to sell tickets above resale value, above face value. Pardon me.
Yeah,
so that's going to apply to the Leafs. That's going to also apply, assuming he gets it tabled through the committee and it gets the second reading in Parliament quickly enough.
Yeah.
They won't be able to sell the World Cup tickets at higher than face value. We'll see.
If it's done, but that's a couple months away, dude.
I think he's trying to table it and get it through the provincial legislature, which is like right down the road.
Yeah.
Before the World Cup for that express purpose.
That'd
doesn't
be
mean that the tickets that already changed hands doesn't apply to them.
It's a future ticket. I mean, it would probably eliminate some of the boringness of a Leafs game, right? Because it's just corporate. You just go there and it's suits essentially, and it's just like it's boring. It's like it's not that.
It's
rowdy.
like not real fans.
Yeah, and it's not really like that event that if you were to go to a Vegas game or something like that, they've made these things kind of like more of an experience than just going to watch the Leafs game and be monotone and be like that. All right, guys, there goes the market. Another bounce. Tesla right back in towards the volume-weighted average price. So that trend line holding up. There was a nice indecision print right at 209.50 here on NVDA, and it's starting to make its way back towards the volume-weighted average price. So a nice little bounce here in the market. Can we find something and get involved to the long side? XLF slowly curling over. Tesla still grinding, and then Ader above VWAP, but it looks like it's going to establish a lower high and then maybe continue.
Exactly. Well said, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. Look at the topping tail candle. Just luring everybody in, man. I'm not touching this thing until it breaches 140. ATER is the one that Joey was talking about there, and more accurate he could not be. Look, we already saw this hot garbage breach the trend, lure everybody in, then poop, all the way down. And here it is again. Look. It could change its tune. And if it does, I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong, but it's got to change that tune first. And the way that it does it for me is a closing print above 140. I don't want to see wicks or anything else. I know there's only a couple of different types of prints, but if it doesn't get above 140, I don't trade it. I have a bias that this probably moseys on down into the dollar to 97.54, a low of day. I'm talking pennies, not dollars. And it's another topping tail candle, as Joey rightly pointing out. And BIYA is also looking hella short here. Look, if this loses 150, could be a great short, maybe down into the low of day, which is 122. That's the implied balance low right at 930, BIYA. I don't know how much locates are going to cost you on that, but just a quick perfunctory look there on my my scanner, just on my platform, BIYA, ATER, and SBLX. No shorts available for sale, for borrow. So that's on my platform. I'm not talking about real trading. Real trading is going to have it. There's no question about that. It's just how much you're going to have to pay, right? Someone was pointing out SEGG, and you guys have been pointing out SEGG for days. This is not the first time that I see it. Is this thing moving on a daily? Yeah, okay. Decent day there. It was obviously bid non-compliant. Shout out to my main man, Luis. We'll have him on tomorrow. Can't wait for him to be on. But yeah, this one was south of $1. It looks like it held up at 50 cents today. It has a decent day with a high of 134, currently showing 117. That's SEGG, SEG, the ticker there. But I don't want to say it's dropping. It's got a lower high trend, though. I mean, you can kind of see that. For me, to get above 123 probably gets me into this trade. To give this one a little credit, it's got higher lows as well ever since that area low that put in the low of the day at around 96 pennies. It's been putting in higher lows, but it also has lower highs. This is the chart on SEGG. I do apologize for not throwing the ticker on there. Let's throw that on there. Again, 123. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to put an alert. So if this one touches 123, I'm going to put it at 122. I'll have notice, and then we can kind of work our way into this one. So that is the look there. Ram just messaged me in the group here. Oh, thank you, Ram. Excellent call out there. This is what we're talking about. Joey, look at this.
Yeah, I see
this is embarrassing, dude. Why is there no metal there? Like, I'm assuming what they're doing is they're distributing the weight from this onto that. Like, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, you come in
and
you see that, and your seat's up here, and you're like, I'm going home, right? Like there's nothing there, bro.
Those aren't.
Those are real seats. Go, just drive by. Drive by. It's not that far of a drive for you, man. Just go and look. It's embarrassing.
Those are
dude.
seats?
Those are seats. So this is what it looks like. First of all, the stadium experience is not good because it's a TFC. Sorry, it's an MLS stadium, right? It's okay. It's got a couple of, restaurants and bars and everything. There's a lot of kiosks, but you're not going to get Rogers Center / Skydome level. It is far superior at the Dome. This is just not what this is not the foot you want to put forward when the rest of the world is visiting you, bro. So, you know what I mean?
Why is it so embarrassing?
It just is, Joey. Because Toronto is a world-class city, and that's not a world-class stadium that we have there. And,
yeah, it's unfortunate. That is scary.
Risking your life to watch the game. Yeah. Ozan, I would put my cute butt. I would not. I won't put my cute butt on those seats. Yeah, neither would I, Ozan. Maybe it's looks like Jenga. One wrong move, and the thing is coming down, Nick Diaz says. Ram. They had how long to build? Yeah, Ram. We've known about this since Trump 1.0. And so... Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Dude, it's all the bureaucracy and the regulations that they need to pass in order to.
I don't want to hear you saying anything bad about our government. Okay? Right? They're very efficient.
Very, yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's a stranglehold, really.
All right, angry wife. TLPYO, Sharif, and you know how footy fans are. They're going to be jumping. Of course they are, man.
That is
Of course they are.
Disaster incoming.
And a lot of people are visiting, so they're already on vacation mode. They're happy, they're out there, you know what I mean?
Scary, dude.
Yeah, I don't want any part of that.
Does not look good.
Lemon family, same thing. Imagine fans jumping. Yeah, I don't want to imagine it because it.
They're gonna have to put a sign up there, no jumping.
Ram's already thinking about how she's gonna get paid. Lawsuit money to repay your ticket money. That's brilliant, Ram. Brilliant.
Tickets.
All right, guys, Copen could be headed up here again. So Doji candle that just closed, new candle opened up. I'm talking 1250 bar. The Doji candle, 1245 bar. Assassino, if we can, brother, thank you. Into 53 we go. It's a high of day of 60. We are still putting in lower highs, though, generally. Watch for a hold above 450, and then I think we could attempt here yet another breach of 460. So KOPN, I got to tell you, this is the best looking one in the market right now. If SEGG can take out 123, 124, that will also look good. But for the moment, it's really KOPN here. into 54 again. It goes 55s, Joey, showing almost 56 as we take out some size here at 55. There's 56. KOPN could be a breach of 60. Watch out here. If it breaches 60, there's a good chance we can get into that $5 area. So definitely watching for this one. I may execute again on it, Joe.
All right, good stuff, man. We take a little scalp here, just a little scalp as a punch through the volume-weighted average price. I just watched this grind away, and I'm like, oh, man. Oh, there it goes, another clean uptick. Something might be stepping into the market here as we're putting in a strong recovery. IBIT bouncing off. We see the NASDAQ putting in a substantial volume print. Is that being led by NVDA? And there it goes, continuing to move. Oh, man, what a scalp off of that one. Too bad we didn't hold a little bit more. Shoulda, coulda, woulda anyways. But the market starting to find somewhat of its footing as Bitcoin bounces off of that 4302 IBIT is which I'm referring to. Can we punch through and hold on NVDA? A little scalp city on that one. So not too bad, guys. Go 1 for 1 on, 1 for 2 on NVDA. Other than that, we go 1 for 3 on IBIT. So we'll be patient and wait for some more opportunities because we might continue to grind here. Glad that we didn't go back into that short. It would have been nice to get in significantly earlier than what we did. This low, man. This is the signal that I was looking for. But AMD finding its way and then a massive rebound in the overall market on volume too. So you can see that start to uptick. That gives us much more confirmation and conviction in the fact that, hey, we might continue on this path, a strong move in Bitcoin. Can we find an additional long? I was thinking long here today, so I wouldn't put it past it if we find somewhat of a recovery, but NVDA heading right back towards some key levels, and that's what we want to see right now. Go long, go with the flow, Joe, and that's what we're doing. Can we find a pullback here? I don't even, we'll get Ader off of here. It's a hater right now.
There goes Copen into a new high of day, Joey.
All right, man.
KOPN is ripping up here, 463. That's a breach of high of day. Whether or not we continue into 3/4 and then 3/4 gives us a bias of a hole. Let's watch here. We're holding trend quite well. A clean hold of the 10 EMA on the 5 on KOPN, nary a breach into 24% VIL. But right back into 460 again. Copacabana. Get it, Ram. Copacabana is actually a beach in Brazil, right, Assassino? Yes. There's also a Copacabana in Peru and Cuba. Okay, got it. And another place, but he doesn't remember which one. Interesting. I think the most famous one, though, has got to be Brazil.
Has to be. It's a Brazilian steakhouse, my boy. Yeah, there it goes, man. Real strong stuff right now and a big time uptick. We were talking about it on volume. Tesla now breaching VWAP and we're holding. So if this support level that was acting as prior resistance can come into play, then maybe we can get a long rocking and rolling here. It would have been more ideal, obviously, to catch the low, but hindsight being 20/20 on some of these levels, all right? So let's keep in mind that we might get an aggressive pullback, some strong upticks, volume supporting it. We'll head over to our watch list right now and see what we have going on that front. How has Apple been performing on the day? We haven't gone over the Mag 7, so we can do so now and find potential opportunities just in case there's anything lagging and looking to catch up to what we have from said upticks. Now, Google, how have you been performing? Microsoft, not too much. Oh, okay, being led by Microsoft. So putting in a strong session here, guys. Look at this 1 minute print right here. Cool, sounds good. Yeah, whenever we're ready, we're going to send it off to Adair. We have a special guest with us here today. Oh, okay.
Very excited to welcome a guest here to the show, a special guest, Ashley Lassinger, CEO and Director of Althura Energy Corp. Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you doing this afternoon?
Doing great. How are you?
Great, thank you. Excited to talk about Althura. Let's talk about the helium market to kind of zoom out and start off here. What can you tell us about the state of supply and demand within the global helium market?
Yeah, so demand side, you've got the AI boom, right, which is surging semiconductor manufacturing. Helium, for those that don't know, is used for cooling and creating environments for the wafer fabrication. You've also got healthcare. Most people don't know that MRI machines use helium to cool superconducting magnets. And in developing nations, we're seeing an expansion of MRI fleets going in. You've got aerospace and defense. Helium's used to pressurize fuel tanks and purge rocket systems. But more specifically in the U.S., you've also got the privatization of the U.S. Federal Helium Reserve, which was completed earlier this year. And it's taken the market from what we would call like a government stabilized model to a private value driven one. And while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, it is creating supply constraints and altering demand behavior from what we've seen in the past. And then you turn to the supply side, and as you're probably well aware, a month ago, a third of the world's helium production essentially came to a halt. Qatar Energy had to declare force majeure on the damage that it sustained at its Las Rafan refinery. So now you've got a demand that's not going away and potentially increasing, and then you've got about a third of the world's helium supply that is essentially negated for the next 3 to 5 years. So it is a pretty precarious place to be.
Thank you so much for going over that for us, just to provide a bit of a baseline here. So now can you share a couple of near-term catalysts with us for Althura, specifically with regards to production and well reentries?
Yeah, so last July, I was brought on to Althura for my background in petroleum engineering to essentially establish, like, did we even have an asset? Multiple wells had been drilled before, but none of them were able to produce. And so my task was to essentially identify what was wrong and fix it. And so late last year, we recompleted 2 wells to prove my theories. They produced about 120 MCF a day a month with 6.5% helium concentration. However, the pipeline wasn't functional, so we determined that it was more economically efficient to replace the pipeline, which we're about 60% of the way done with as we speak. And as soon as that pipeline is complete, we will turn those 2 wells back onto production. And then we have another 4 wells that we still think are viable that we will then move into a workover program for those.
Next up here, can you talk about your company's existing production history? Just tell us a little bit about your track record of helium sales and the potential for cash flow here.
Sure. So existing production, we have 2 non-operated wells currently that we have 20% working interest right now. They've produced since 2021. Together, they've made over $11 million in helium gross sales, and they're still producing in commercial quantities. As for the potential cash flow for 2026, again, the pipeline's the first step. We will bring those 6 wells back online this year. And before the wells were shut in, they each distributed about 100 MCF a day or more at around a 5 to 8% helium concentration. So simple math, right? Let's say 100 MCF a day, 6% helium concentration, let's say $200 per MCF. Which is a conservative number right now, yields about $36,000 a month and just under about $500,000 a year gross per well. So multiply that by 6. And then we will set our sights on our new well drilling program in the acreage that we have within a farm-in agreement that happens to offset our non-operated wells.
Let's talk a little bit about production here and maybe some of the risks and rewards. What can you tell us here in terms of the RR related to your development strategy and your high impact exploration plans going forward?
Yeah, so the risks are nothing outside of the norm for any energy exploration play. So a risk could be in our permitting, but I will say that the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Committee has been very nice to work with, very timely in their communication. We do know that if we have to engage any of the federal agencies, that will take a little bit longer. But the biggest risk is always going to be very simple. We don't find anything. But I think that our development strategy is very simple. It's very logical. It's data driven. The first thing is to bring those wells back online, establish the increased cash flow. The next thing would be to expand into the 2 formations that we already know are viable via offset production, drill those wells in our farm-in acreage that are literally offset wells that we know produce, and then test deeper targets from there. And then in tandem, running 2D seismic in our southern assets to determine the size of the structure, the exploratory structure that we think is there based on well data, and then drill to basically prove it up.
So looking forward here, let's talk about the company's growth potential and your path towards scaling and re-rating. What can you tell us about that path forward for you?
Yeah, so when it comes to re-rating, I'm actually very excited to see where this goes. We have multiple competitors that are trading above us and have higher market caps, but they don't have what we have, at least in the near term. And when I say that, what I mean is they don't have production and they don't have access to a processing plant. And we have both of those critical pieces. And we have low risk, proven growth opportunities, as well as the long-term exploration upside that we have within our own assets, but we're also looking for expansion opportunities within the Holbrook Basin. And I think what sets us apart isn't what's happening in long term, because all helium companies, all energy companies, right, have exploration assets. It's what's happening right now. Low risk, proven production growth, and access to a processing plant to sell the gas. Because you can have the best wells in the world, but it doesn't matter if you can't sell the gas.
Well said. Is there anything else you want anyone watching here to know about your company, or anywhere we can find out more about Althura?
Yeah, you can check out our website. It's up to date, alturaenergycorp.com. And I will be at the Natural Resources Stock Expo this week in Atlanta if any of you guys happen to be in Atlanta. So thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you so much for being here again. And I guess join her in Atlanta. Again, this is CEO Ashley Lassinger, CEO and Director of Altura Energy Corp. Thank you very much for being here with us today, Ashley.
Thank you.
Great information and great interview, and thank you to Ashley for coming on there. That's really interesting information there, Joey.
Here's an actual look at the stock here, guys, from the beginning of the year, actually, is what I was kind of recording and looking from a percentage metric to see what we've gained. And I mean, from 10 cents all the way up to 25, but you have a peak around 36 cents. That's 238%. So not too bad of a look here in the helium play there, Sharif.
All right, Sia. We are starting the news. Take it over.
Let's do it. First story for the day, let's look at NVIDIA, but NVIDIA's massive expansion in India. So India's AI demand is growing, as we do know it. And with that, NVIDIA is expanding its Indian subsidiary, NVIDIA Graphics, having secured a major real estate deal. So the company is leasing approximately 760,000 square feet of high-end office space in the Mahadevpura area of Bengaluru. Now, history about Bengaluru, just a quick fact, that Bengaluru is known as the IT capital of India, where you'll find high-end software and IT development companies. And it's also, in short, called the Silicon Valley of India. So the transaction here represents a 10-year lease agreement, which is valued more than $130 million. And this does signal a certain long-term commitment to the region's engineering ecosystem. And as part of the finalized agreement, the company has already paid a substantial security deposit that exceeds $3.6 million. And the new lease covers 12 entire floors at Bagmain Capital's Memphis South Tower. This building, as of this year, is being positioned as a key hub for high-end technology development. So by securing this space, NVIDIA is more than doubling its known physical office footprint in India to support its expanding R&D and AI divisions. But this just in today. That project Google that had announced last year has kicked off, and Google has also launched its new AI hub in Visakhapatnam in India. Visakhapatnam is soon to be developing India's AI hub as India advances towards its India AI mission. So the footprint is rapidly increasing in India, with it expected to reach 17 billion just by next year. Currently, NVIDIA, however, down by almost 3%.
It is, yeah. These semis are all getting clipped today. Nobody is spared. I have 3 points I want to make about this. This is going to be one of India's biggest sovereign AI hardware hubs. So in addition to, building out the infrastructure there in the data center and the compute that companies are going to use, this is actually good for the Indian government, right? And that could help them sidestep some of the GPU shortages by having it locally in the country. So that's my first thing. The second thing is these are going to be Blackwell chips that are going to go into the center. So how are they going to cool these? Very interesting tie-up between NVIDIA here and Tata Power. And they're looking to use Tata's liquid cooling kind of setup there. We'll have to see how that all works out. It's going to be the B200 architecture that they're using over there. And then last but not least, they said very little about this in the actual story, so I do a little digging. This is going to be a CPU story as much as it is a GPU story, because this is going to be the launch of the Grace CPU in India for the first time. So most are focusing on GPUs, but this is going to be localizing the Grace CPU for the Indian market. And it's also NVIDIA, that is, they're working at including all of India's languages. There are Hindi and 21 others in the country that they've got to localize on the CPU there for inference as well as training purposes. So it should be really interesting to see how they do all this whole thing. But those are the 3 points that I want to get to. And just before we get Joey's take, we got to go to Adara for breaking news.
Keep an eye here on NAKA. This is a small cap. It is only 20 cents. That's actually part of why this is moving right now. Mike Alfred, a investor here on X who I think most recently he pumped ASST. I know he was also involved here, I believe, in Open Door. He's posting about this NAKA saying he believes shorts are going to press the stock down to the 3 to 5 cent level. And at that level, he might buy up enough shares to, quote, fire this inept board that has failed completely to provide oversight over its incompetent and out of control CEO. Absolute disaster, but I might be able to turn around. So again here, Mike Alfred saying that he believes he can save NAKA, this now $19 or 19 cent stock, sorry. It did pump on this. Wanted to keep you guys posted here. Back to you.
Well, I think it's a great play, and we're starting to see this among some of the larger companies within the United States, is that they're starting to enter this emerging market of India. That's going to increase NVDA's total addressable market as well. So, I mean, the deal over 10 years is nothing crazy from a real estate standpoint. The stock did slide a little bit on it, but I think it's great because now they get to kind of interpret and integrate Indian talent into the engineering of some of these software.
Great point.
Yeah, right?
Great
so
point.
and we know that a lot of engineers are coming from there. They're great with the software side of things. Yep. So I think it's a really smart play. We've seen multiple names. We know that Apple's starting to get involved with India as well. Tesla's there, Amazon's there, NVDA is there. So you're going to have some of the largest companies on the planet really start to step inside of India.
All right, let's look how let's see the morning note. Did it jive with what the price action with NVIDIA today was? So the trade plan was as follows. So the breakout, what you were looking for at 216 long, that didn't come into play. 216.5 was a closing print from yesterday, so that didn't come into play. The pullback long, if 212.50 to 213 holds, pullback long. Let's see, did that hold? 212, so we got 212.5. So that it did end up holding initially. It lost the bid, but at 212, 213 ended up actually holding as resistance, so it didn't hold. How about the failure? So that was the third trade there articulated by the trade plan. Failure below 210.5. So you did get that 210.5. You got at around right here. So you would have made, $2 or so if you had taken that into 208.5, which is the area low. Not a bad setup, but I think today's price action was a little weird on the semis. But interesting look. You had a couple of setups there on today's trade plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sharif,
yes.
Also in India, and surprisingly, Claude's India is the second largest market for Claude. So this is just like information that I just found while I was reading today. Anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, especially given the amount of engineers that they have. They're probably all about that Claude code life.
Absolutely.
So, interesting point. Take it over. What's the next story?
Anyways, let's move on to the next story. We heard today that OpenAI's revenue growth has fallen short. The company's revenue growth has missed targets according to lots of reports here. OpenAI has reportedly failed to meet set targets for revenue and new users. This is causing concerns about its ability to maintain high data center costs and funding of its AI infrastructure spend. Even the board of directors are concerned, which includes CFO Sarah Fryer and others. Sarah Fryer has expressed worries about the company's ability to afford massive computing contracts in the future if current revenue growth stalls. But board of directors are particularly scrutinizing existing data center deals and questioning Sam Altman's efforts to secure even more computing power. So OpenAI has missed its target to achieve around 1 billion weekly ChatGPT users, largely due to its intense competition from Gemini. Now, internal reports are suggesting that executives are prioritizing cost control and discipline over, which clashes with Sam Altman's strategy of aggressive expansion. So just a couple comments coming in from them saying to CNBC that this is ridiculous and we are totally aligned on buying as much compute as we can and working hard on it together every day. And with this, other chip names like Oracle have been trading lower. A couple things to note that Oracle has linked a $300 billion 5-year computing deal with OpenAI. NVIDIA has pledged billions to OpenAI. OpenAI recently also launched a major strategic partnership with Amazon and expanded an existing $38 billion spending agreement by $100 billion. So there's a lot of factors into play here.
There are, but I'm just going to talk about the things that I spoke about in the morning when I was on the big desk with Adara. There are 4 things here I want to speak about. So, number 1, internally, OpenAI was looking to spend about $1.4 trillion by 2030 on its AI infrastructure build-out. That is being trimmed internally. These are all internal memos by $600 billion. So in other words, they want to spend $600 billion by 2030. So that $800 billion, that was going to go and buy, obviously, different things. AI, obviously, chips, CPUs, server racks, cooling, data centers, the gauntlet, right? So they're going to spend this, obviously, on compute and all the different things that come with compute. So that $800 billion, if you believe the report, is not going to get spent. Somebody's going to suffer as a result of that because the market's forward looking. It was projecting that that $800 billion was going to get spent. So that concerns me, and I think that's why the semis are getting clipped today. Number two, this dissolves kind of the Microsoft monolith. What by that I mean, they've changed their kind of their agreement with Microsoft so that they go and shop around for other compute. So if they're not going to build out these data centers to the tune of 1.4 trillion, then they're going to have to rent out what they were going to build out. And who are they going to go to? They're going to go to AWS. They're going to go to Google Cloud, maybe even Oracle. Who knows? Maybe they're going to go to Snowflake. I don't know. But that basically allows them to shop around for better prices than they're getting with Azure. And it also obviously puts the situation a little bit tenuous between Altman and Nadella. Secondly, or thirdly, I should say, the inference trap. So as I mentioned this morning, 94.5% of ChatGPT users are in the free plan. So every time you're using an agentic search or not a search, but you're using any agentic features by OpenAI, they're losing money on all of those uses. So because most people are not getting paid, and we know that they don't have ads quite yet, right? So the usage of compute or the increased usage of compute because of inference and agents is really causing them, their gross margins are dropping markedly here. They were 40% last year, now they're dropping to 33%. That can't be a good look. And then last but not least, the Stargate financing gap. Remember that whole press conference with Altman, President Trump, you had Ellison all in the Oval Office. Wow, $500 billion, we're gonna spend $500 billion. Well, you know how much of that $500 billion has been spent so far? 52. And that's because 448 was actually supposed to be financing. And now those financiers are like, no, we don't know if we want to give you the money. But the point is, the financiers are worried because of the circularity of the AI trade that you and I and everybody else on the show has been talking about now for almost a year.
Yeah. I think a lot of us here started to sniff this out not too long ago, Sharif, to be honest with you. I just didn't think that you were going to get to the valuation from essentially paid tiers. So much more needs to happen for this company. They have a deal, obviously, with Oracle. Adair knows about that, where Oracle, 90% of its RPOs are with Sam Altman and company. If the CFO is like, hey, we don't know if we're going to be able to pay for future contracts, I don't like it. They need to implement digital ads in there and start collecting revenue. I know there's a plan for them. I think it was something around $50 billion by the end of 2028. They're supposed to collect on that front. They have to add ads into their actual system and using ChatGPT. Nonetheless, they're going to need a lot more. As you just mentioned, 94% of the individuals are using it for free. Is it going to be free forever? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if you need to start paying a little bit because they're going to need this cash. They're in a lot of pockets right now. They have a lot of deals and they need they need a lot of cash. And if you have someone like Anthropic who's just grabbing your market share left, right, and center, they had the first to market advantage, right? They had the first to market advantage, but now with these better tools starting to be implemented, it's not looking so optimistic here for
Go ahead,
for
Fabian.
These guys.
When Uber first came out, wasn't it really super cheap? Go ahead. Comparatively, with to get more customers. So you're saying relative to taxis? Yes. That's what I remember. I remember going downtown from where I live. I live in the boonies, according to Katina, man. No, I'm kidding, of course. But to get downtown, it was like almost 35 to 40 bucks on a cab. And then like back in 2015, 2016, when I started taking Uber initially, it was like $15 to $16.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely accurate on that, Fabian.
And a lot of people in the
new technology to get in the users, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I like what Itro says here. It's too late to take away free. Brother,
you're going to have to offer that.
It is never too late.
You're going to have to have it, but it's going to be ridden with ads.
It's going to be. That's the narrative. I mean, it's never too late. Look at what happened to YouTube, right? They say it's going to be riddled with ads. Like some videos, Like even Netflix, right? So like even when you go and click on a video on YouTube, before you just get to watch it, now you have to watch 2 or 3 ads before you get involved. And the exact same thing here with Netflix. Like if you don't have one of the higher paid tiers, essentially what will happen is that you have to sit through 60 minutes of commercials before you take to that next step. And I think that's going to be exactly what's going to happen with prompts. You put in a prompt, well, congratulations, you're going to have an ad that's relative to it before you even get an answer.
All right, let's look at the technicals to see how the morning note did with Microsoft on the day, because this is a Microsoft adjacent story. So the breakout long above 427, look for 430 to 432. So price is showing 428. We have a high of 429 and a quarter. So if you took the 427 break, you're doing okay. You're $1 in the money right now. You would have been $2 in the money at the high. How about the second pullback? Or sorry, the second type of trade, a pullback long if 420 holds. Well, it didn't hold strictly, but it double bottomed essentially at 419. So if you were able to hold $1, not a bad move, and then you would have been doing it quite well. The failure short, though, it says below 417, and it opens a move to 412. That didn't come in because the low of the day there was that candle wick that we didn't quite make it down into 417. Just before we send it back to Sia, I have to mention a couple of names. First and foremost, Fluffy. Where are you, girl? Because your boy ACAN here is halted to the upside, up 49%. ACAN halted at around 18 bucks, 18.05, up 49%. This one's really ripping here, and now it's got some volume bars, about 2.13 million shares traded on the day. Also, Poet, people were saying is ripping above the volume weighted average. Yeah, okay. 815 or so, coming off that 755 low. I would say AKAN, if you're small cap gapper inclined and you don't have an aversion to these multiple halters, then keep your eye out on this one, Joey. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. We're going back to see you.
So we're talking about General Motors next. General Motors has reported a better than expected first quarter operating profit of $4.3 billion from total sales of $43.6 billion. Wall Street had been looking for an operating profit of only $3 billion. So this marks a better than expected performance by GM. For the full year 2026, GM has raised its operating profit guidance to between $13.5 billion and $15.5 billion, up from $13 billion to $15 billion. In the prior year of 2025, GM had reported an operating profit of $12.7 billion, which was a decrease from the $14.9 billion reported back in 2024. And the results in 2025 were heavily impacted by import tariffs, which cut the company's operating profits by approximately $1.9 billion. Bank of America securities analyst Alexander Perry has noted that GM inventory has exited Q1 at a healthy level with the company's 50 to 60-day target, and GM's large truck platform has exceeded expectations during the quarter. However, U.S. deliveries have plummeted 9.7% year over year to 626,429 vehicles, and currently GM trading super flat.
Okay, so I have about, 4 points I want to make here. First and foremost, they're getting a big gift vis-a-vis the Supreme Court gift. You could call it the Supreme Court gift, $500 million in tariff refunds. That's number one, obviously, because we know the AAPL tariffs and how that case went down for President Trump, a big L for him. Also, there is this tariff taper kind of thing. So because the AAPL tariffs, have been kiboshed, they were basically drawing their forward guidance based upon what those tariffs were going to be. And so they were forecasting yet another $500 million in tariff-related expenses going forward into the full year. So that's going to be $500 million refund, and then another $500 million that they're not going to have to pay going forward. That's a cool Billy right there. That's point number two. Point number three, they're starting to pick up sales in China. So basically they had about $44 million in China equity income, $45 million last year. That's bumped up to $165 million, mainly because they're selling more expensive, higher margin vehicles in that market. Not a bad look. And then last but not least, aggressive share shrinkage. They did beat on EPS, but they did shrink the outstanding shares from 988 million down to 911, putting the money obviously back in the shareholders' pocket. Reasonable people can disagree about the allocation and the use of that money, whether it's better to be put forward into R&D or back into the shareholders' pockets vis-a-vis share buybacks. Just before we get Joey's take, we got to go to Adair.
Couple USO headlines here, rather headlines in the Middle East. For one, U.S. Army saying that their forces will continue their operations to enforce their blockade in Iranian ports. Then we got Benjamin Netanyahu, leader of Israel, saying that Israel destroyed a, quote, massive tunnel belonging to Hezbollah, and they will continue to destroy infrastructure. So not great here for either of these headlines in terms of some kind of resolution in the Middle East. We do have USO here with a little bit of a pop over the last couple candles on this 3-minute chart. Also hearing Iraqi troops are now firing upon unidentified aerial vehicles. So lots of Middle East headlines. Stay tuned, unfortunately. Back to you. I got to shout this super chat out, man. Ivan Dragos, 7019. He's dropping, you know how much there, Joey? $100 in the chat. What up, my Toronto brothers? Trading account up to 47K so far today, playing AMKR. I missed your call on SPLX by a second. He put 20,000 shares at 344 and then it took off. But still got to give you credit on the call, Sharif. Stay on the grind. Peace. Thank you very much, Dragos, for that $100 super chat there. I love your name. I like your vibe as well. I like the fact that you're trading small caps, man. Stay groovy with it, Joey. Yeah. Joey, General Motors.
Yeah, I mean, as for GM, $200 million, we were talking about that in tariff expenses that they're looking to get back. I mean, there was a slight growth as well, too. So, I mean, positive for the company. What else was I looking at? Considering this is key, I think. Now expects gross tariff costs to be 2.5 to 3.5 billion. That is down in 2026. That is down from the original estimate from 3 billion to 4 billion. So that's a substantial cut. I like that. As for the legacy motors, I think it's tough, right? We have to look at this as a car play. Even though we're finding somewhat of a bounce here today, I just don't like the space in general. They're going to make more of that shift towards the hybrid, which I believe is a smart play. But nonetheless, the car name's not something I like.
Can I say, I like your take there. And it's not just the strict hybrid, but it's that extended range EV that we've been talking about. I always call it the Li Auto stencil because they started it, where they put that gas engine.
Holy cow.
Like they put that gas engine to recharge the onboard battery, but the actual drivetrain is connected to battery. So you get that whole EV experience. So you get like insane range on that, 13, 14, sometimes 1,700 kilometers by having that gas engine that just recharges the battery but doesn't propel the car. I think a lot of companies are going for that. It's kind of like, it's not a hybrid in our sense, right? Like that's not what we used to call hybrid cars. But
and what am I even talking about here? Like you're not too far off of the all-time highs here in GM. I mean, what's Ford been up to? That's a different story.
GM is outperforming Ford.
Drastically outperforming. I mean,
take a look at STLA for me there.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about getting into that off the bottoms, but nope.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So, I mean, what is this, an outlier essentially? Like even outperforming Tesla? I mean, different makers.
Look at the PE. You're gonna laugh when you see their PE
on this
Tesla's
one.
PE.
Tesla's PE is probably through the roof as it typically is.
Let's take a quick look here at GM, Joey. Let's see how this did with the morning note. So the breakout long above 82.50. That didn't come into play. We topping tailed there into 82.25. So that didn't come in. And then there was another trade here. Pullback long into 80 to 80.50 if it holds. Well, it didn't hold. So hopefully you didn't use that. But this is what I like. Failure below 79 opens the move into 77. It's exactly what you got there. You got the 79 failure, and then you got essentially a 74.80 area low. This one set 77. You would have gotten a lot more. So hope somebody took that trade. GM, it's literally flat on the day. 0.00%, having closed out yesterday at 77.97, and that's where the price is right now, Joey. So, any other comments? Should we send it back?
No, let's fire it up, man. GM looking good.
So,
Thank you for those. Let's talk about Google. So Google has joined Pentagon's AI deployment. Google has officially signed a significant deal with the U.S. Department of Defense to utilize its AI models for highly sensitive classified work. Now, this agreement enables the Pentagon, which has recently been renamed the Department of War by US President Donald Trump, to use Google's AI for any lawful government purpose. This places Google alongside OpenAI and Elon Musk's xAI as primary suppliers of advanced artificial intelligence for military and defense use cases in the United States of America. Now, classified networks will utilize these tools for mission planning and weapons targeting areas that will handle a wide range of sensitive national security data. And the Pentagon has signed an initial agreement worth up to $200 million with major AI labs in 2025, including Google, Anthropic, and OpenAI. But authorities have reportedly pushed these labs to make their tools available on classified networks without standard restrictions applied to commercial users. And Google's agreement explicitly states and requires the company to assist in adjusting AI safety settings and filters at the government-specific request, but the contract also includes language stating that AI system is not intended for domestic mass surveillance or autonomous weapons without human oversight. However, the agreement also specifies that Google does not have the right to control or veto any lawful government operational decision-making, and spokespeople at Google have maintained that the company is committed to the consensus that AI should not be used for autonomous weaponry without appropriate human control. Now, this is a little bit scary, of course, and that's why I can see why companies are saying that. And the deal with Google follows a period of fallout between the Pentagon and Anthropic after the startup did refuse to remove safety guardrails for certain autonomous weapons. Currently, Google is trading flat.
Okay, just before we get to Google, guys, I have to point out AKAN. It's halted up again. Okay, Assassin, if we could show this. It halted at 1805. It is now halted at 2235. It was up 40-something%. Now it's up 84. This is a $12 million market cap, and that's with the latest price move, this 80-some-odd% move. That gives it about a $12 million market cap. The volume is still a little light on Akan, 2.35 million shares. And by the way, the 5-year average is 7.5. So we're still below the 5-year average here on AKAN. Watch out, though. This one is really ripping. Shut it to Fluffy. I have 3 things I want to say about this. The removal of the ethical kill switch. So as Sia mentioned there, any lawful government purpose. So this kind of bypasses Google's previous AI principles, and that historically restricted the technology in the use of mission planning and weapons targeting. That gives the military maximum flexibility. So you're still not going to be able to use it for mass surveillance, as she articulated, nor are you going to be able to use it for autonomous weapons targeting, but you will be able to use it in mission planning. Apparently, that was not allowed. There goes Akan. Guys, it's going to halt up at 2703. It's now up 23%. 2703, halt parameter showing here on AKAN. This is really, really going. 18 halt, 23 halt. Now it's a 27 halt. AKAN, absolutely him at the moment. Multi-party model is my other comment here about this latest tie-up between Google or Alphabet, and the Pentagon. So because OpenAI and xAI are also involved with the Pentagon here, there has to be collaboration. So you're not going to be able to have that vendor lock-in, and so you're going to have to make your models accessible and work with the other models. That's going to require, obviously, some logistics. And then $200 million base entry. So the article basically posits that this is a multi-billion-dollar deal, potential that is. The current immediate funding, though, capped at $200 million, Joey, because it's a pilot expansion. It's part of the 2025 strategic shift where the DoD provides smaller, high-velocity lab contracts to the likes of Anthropic. And
yeah, I was just reading out on some of the we have earnings, obviously, after the bell tomorrow, guys. And so apparently we're looking at lower than expected report here, 31.9 billion compared to 34.5 the previous year, and EPS coming in a little bit lower at $2.63 a share compared to last year at $2.81. But no, as for all of this, I guess, integration into the Department of Defense, we're seeing the large and these massive AI models starting to be implemented. I'm not surprised, because if you're not going to, somebody will, and the States is willing to get involved and integrate OpenAI, Gemini, and also Anthropic into uses of war.
Can we get into a little bit of a controversial area here for a second?
Sure, why not?
What are your personal thoughts? And just before, I want to get your honest opinion.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about autonomous targeting?
Just allow the AI to do it itself? Yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay, and I didn't think you were going to say that. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I didn't anticipate that response. So I'm going to say yes and no. Let me give my case. So for example, there's this company called Shield AI. I think they're on CNBC's Disruptor 50 or whatever they have there. Listen to what they do. They get this, it almost looks like a stealth B2 drone. It's way smaller, obviously it's not nearly as big. The point of this drone though is to take out other drones. So what it does, so I kind of skipped a little bit. Drone warfare is swarm based. So they swarm all these drones in one area and then they kind of proliferate into different areas, overwhelming the air defense systems, right? So this drone by Shield AI is supposed to take off and be able to kind of target each one individually and obviously on a feasibly cost basis because, we were talking about the $1 million shooting down a $50,000 drone. So this thing here is completely autonomous. It has no human input. So, and the only way that it can be efficient because of the swarms is to be autonomous. It would be hard for a human to be able to do all these targeting things at once. So I like it in that sense. Where I don't like it is obviously when there are other human targets.
So I think the next question is, where is there more margin for error? Are you going to allow a human to take over where I believe there's more margin for error compared to something that's autonomous?
That's a great point.
Right?
That's actually a really good point.
So, I mean,
who has the more error rate?
Exactly. And it's probably, I mean, if we're not going to be talking about autonomous vehicles if the error rate is higher in something that's unmanned compared to a man, right? Like we wouldn't even be having that conversation. And I think when lead and everything starts flying, a lot of things come off the table, though, Sharif, to be honest with you.
Well said, man. Well said. All right, guys. Great comments by you. I like a lot of the comments. Some people agree, some people disagree, and I love that, obviously. Fluffy, Sharif, have you seen laser that shoots drone down by? Yeah, no reason to throw money at it. I did see those, but my understanding is, it's range. There's a range issue there. I don't know too much about it. I did watch a video, I think it was by Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal or something on YouTube. They were doing a bit of a story there on one of the companies that's doing this. I think that's another one, Fluffy, that we're definitely going to see make its way onto the scene here, especially for anti-drone warfare. And shout out to my man there, Big Scalp. I love the comments there. Shout out to you, Big Scalp. Thank you very much for the nice comments by you, brother. I appreciate it. See ya.
Let's talk about Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola has reported EPS of 86 cents per share for quarter ending April 3, exceeding 81 cents that the analysts had expected and called for. Net revenue has grown 12% to $12.5 billion, coming in way ahead of the $12.2 billion that Wall Street analysts had expected. Now, management has restrained its prior full year 2026 outlook, which projects organic growth between the percentages of 4 to 5. Comparable earnings for the year are expected to grow by 8 to 9%. And this is the first quarter of CEO Enrique Braun, who has succeeded James Kinsey after serving as Chief Operating Officer. And Coca-Cola Zero Sugar has seen unit volumes jump over 13% from a year earlier, where the unit volume for the trademark Coca-Cola brand have only grown by 1%. The company has relied heavily on the price hikes to drive revenue recently, but growth is slow if the consumers resist further increases. And potential future headwinds, this is an important key to look out for, might include tighter rules around the food stamp usage and a new sugar tax that is being imposed and implemented by Mexico. But the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup coming up, is also expected to help boost sales globally and offset some of these identified macro impacts that we're seeing here with Coca-Cola. But currently the stock is up on the day almost 6%.
I want to get your quick input here. What do you feel about, just aside from the report, what are your thoughts on a sugar tax? It seems not a bad idea.
No, I mean, considering, isn't it one of the more addictive substances?
It is. And in a public healthcare system, do you owe any, responsibility to the state who has to fork over the cost of healthcare for you.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's kind of like smoking as well, right?
But think about it. If they implement a sugar tax, then you're going to see the price in your groceries definitely start to increase.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So like, okay, at the end of the day, right? So
It could be certain products, though, maybe over a certain amount of sugar or percentage.
Right? That's where you'd have to go. Like, I mean, like a bag of chips and all that stuff, by all means, tax them up, like cans of pop, increase the price. Like, how is something that contains 32 grams of sugar the equal to a bottle of water?
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like sometimes a little bit cheaper.
Well
it's like,
said.
hey, if you're gonna go and buy, if you want to go buy a Dasani, it's like $2-3, but you can go grab a can of Coke for 99 cents
Exactly.
at Dollarama.
And hey, just to build on that point, we'll get to the earnings report in a second, but think about this. Think about how much a pack of cigarettes costs growing up. What are we, like $7-8 at the most? It's like 25 now. I saw a construction guy go into Rabba the other day. He forked over 25 for a king size.
That's crazy.
So clearly, there's obviously tax issues here to dissuade people from certain things. All right, let's get to the report. I like the organic.
No, sorry, one more thing. But if you like, as for smoke, like I've had buddies that smoke their whole life, man. They're not stopping anytime soon. They'll pay it up.
Crazy, bro. Yeah, $3 on the reserve, says Hinsey. My cousins may or may not buy.
Those,
yes, exactly.
Get the whole bag of them.
It's so good.
I used to work with
Instagram, the ads are on Facebook. Why are they on Facebook? That's illegal.
Dude, I used to work with this older guy from Quebec. And he would have that Ziploc. It literally came in the big Ziploc bag of the reserve cigarettes. It's that typical story of he would literally, I kid you not, he's like he would just light one with the other, right? It's just like, man. And I'll never forget, he told me this story one time. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I couldn't find my lighter on the way home, and it's like an hour drive. And he's like, just chain smoking these reserve cigarettes the whole way.
Look what Jacques said. Sharif, in France, I swear, beer is less expensive than soda. I believe that, man. Yeah, man. I remember in England, I lived in England for a couple of years, and you could go into like a local, convenience store, pick up a couple of bottles of wine for £5 for 2. I mean, you're not getting that here. It's, again, a tax policy. They increase the price of alcohol to dissuade or reduce consumption. These are not the prices that we go into that are real, actually, when we go into the store and buy alcohol. These are artificially inflated. Whoa, that was really loud. SEGG is breaking out here. I had an alert. Okay, SEG's breaking out, guys, into 122. There's 123. There's 124. So SEGG on its horse here, possibly into the $0.25 high a day, 134. Keep your eye out on that. Just before we comment about the report here for Coke, we got to go to Adair with news.
Just keep an eye on USO here. Interesting story coming from Semaphore reporting that the Department of Treasury is going to be telling financial institutions to avoid transactions related to Chinese teapot refineries linked to Iranian oil imports. Now, this is significant because this could add pressure to Tehran's energy exports as we have U.S. tightening their financial restrictions linked to the Iran oil trade. So Iran energy export pressure here with this Semaphore story. Again, Semaphore reporting that Department of Treasury in the U.S. going to be telling financial institutions to avoid transactions related to Chinese teapot refineries linked to Iranian oil exports. Back to you.
For that, Adair. Okay, let's get to the actual Coke report here. Organic revenue grows at 12%, with a price mix up as well, 13%. But when you look at the volumes dropped about 3%, give or take, year over year. North American revenue did rise 15%. That shows good purchasing power, still by a squeezed consumer. But as we'll see in a second, that may be dwindling. The key narrative is Coke can continue to pass through their increasing price to the consumer. However, the volume decrease here could be indicating that even though they are still paying for whatever price Coke is putting out for its products, the amount of people willing to pay for that are a little bit less as a result of the volume decline here. There could be some positive catalysts for Coke. I think the World Cup probably puts a bit of a tailwind for them, as you know, a lot of their drink products especially should be in vogue at that time. Here's the Coke setup right there on the chart. This is a fantastic looking chart right from the get-go, 6:45 a.m. We sat down here, the report came out, and we really haven't looked back. We're at VWAP right now, trying to hold at around 79 2/3, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, the stock's up about 6% here, 14% on the year so far, so not too bad, and it offers a 53 cent dividend. But I think a lot of this is being led by the growth within Asia Pacific, 5% there, guys, 4% growth in North America, and pricing. So they're increasing the pricing by 4% as well too. So I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of it is projected into the price action. You're going to get that dividend payout, 53 cents, and I think that's why a lot of individuals, obviously Warren himself, one of the largest holders of Coca-Cola, was just sitting in that for essentially the dividend, 53 cents.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good one, right? Like, and I mean, you're breaking out, but obviously you have the lower calorie drinks too starting to play a factor, because we know we went through that craze with all the GLP-1s. So, and we've seen these snack brands, the PepsiCos, take a hit on the specific catalyst, right? With these weight loss drugs coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
With the weight loss drugs coming into play. And then now they're starting to navigate around that, releasing smaller cans and lower calorie drinks and snacks. So not too bad of a look for Coca-Cola.
All right, let's take a look at how the setup went on the morning plan over here. So the trade plan called for a breakout long above 77.50 with a target of 78.50 to 79. Well, the opening print is right there, 77.50, right there, right at the open, right at 9 a.m. If you took that 77.50 breakout long with a 78.50 to 79 target, you got plenty more. You got 80 and a quarter, that's the high. The pullback long near 76 didn't come in, at least on the open. And then a failure below 75, obviously that didn't happen because this thing is up 5 3/4 on the day. So good call out here by the morning note, 77.50 long with a 78.50, 79 target. We're going to Adair with breaking news.
Very interesting story here. Keep an eye on AMD and this photo. Yes, this is CEO Dr. Lisa Su of AMD with Howard Lutnick, U.S. Commerce Secretary. They took a kind of awkward photo together because the Department of Commerce today actually met with, of course, Lisa Su, Chair and CEO and Doctor here of AMD. Now, the quote here on this post from the Department of Commerce is, quote, together we are advancing American AI and technological leadership and dominance. An incredibly vague headline, but nonetheless here, AMD on watch, Department of Commerce tie up to some degree. If I get more details in terms of, again, how this is going to be intertwined or what this involves, I'll keep you posted. But very vague headline on technological dominance. Back to you.
Get it, lunatic. Joey, yeah, so you articulated your thoughts on Coke, right? We're good to go?
Yeah.
Right,
Let's rock and roll.
Let's talk about UPS's earnings. UPS has reported a first quarter earnings of $1.07 per share from sales of $21.2 billion, both of which were better than Wall Street was expecting. Operating profit has reached a $1.3 billion mark, while adjusted operating margins for the quarter are 6.2%, down from 8.2% in the prior year. UPS has maintained a full-year outlook which projects its 2026 sales to reach approximately $89.7 billion with operating profit of $8.6 billion. CEO Carol Tome has described Q1 as a critical transition period in which major strategic actions were flawlessly executed, as I'm seeing here. Tom, please excuse my pronunciation, expects the company to return to consolidated revenue and operating profit growth along with margin expansion in the second quarter. And volume in the U.S. domestic segment has also declined as expected as UPS continues to leave some low profit business with, you guessed it, Amazon. Capital expenditures for 2026 are expected to be about $3 billion, while dividend payments are forecasted to be at around $5.4 billion. Also, this just in a couple hours ago that Reuters reporting UPS along with FedEx have said today that they would return any tariff refunds to customers as the U.S. government is beginning to return the illegally collected levies. Now, UPS currently down on the day, almost 3%.
All right, so what I see there is kind of what I hit the bang for when Sia was mentioning it. They are leaving a low margin product, which is delivering for Amazon. Obviously, that has near-term headwinds as their U.S. basically domestic segment will take a hit, and that's going to cause weaker year-over-year comparisons, especially with the Amazon, removal there. Also, the CEO basically saying they're expecting several quarters of declines before that bottoms out and they start, increasing unit volume again in the United States. But yeah, this is not a segment that I follow all that closely, nor do I have a lot of interest in, to be quite honest. But it looks as if maybe they're right-sizing here and moving past some of the reliance I had on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, so essentially what I'm reading here up, Sharif, is that they're just restructuring, right? Amazon equaling about 8.8% of their total business. I think you can kind of fit that in somewhere else, right? They're looking to reduce costs as well, right? Yeah. So, I mean, 8.8% is quite a bit from one company, but I wouldn't be surprised if you have the ability to subsidize elsewhere, right? So, I mean, you're not going to have that massive provider, but we mentioned low margin, and I like that Sia brought this up. Exactly. They're looking for margin expansion, and with the reduction and obviously trying to hone in on spending, they're looking at approximately $3 billion in cost saving in 2026. That's going to help increase their margins. $600 million in the first couple of months so far, so they're on a pretty good route and a pretty good pace to hit that goal. I think that's going to be a key metric to see where this stock goes next. If they have the ability to achieve that and then some while they're just kind of honing in on spending, then I think that UPS can find its way at some point. But removing Amazon, I thought it would be a little bit bigger of a deal. I thought they'd have a little bit more weighting, but that's not necessarily the case, only at 8.8%.
Yeah, and I don't mind it too, because that hurts margins. If you make up for it in terms of volumes, that's always kind of the catch-22. You make up for the margins with volumes, but according to them and the way that the company's looking at it, it's not worth their time.
No, it's apparently not, right? Apparently, so one of their lower margin.
Let's look at the TA today on the morning note. So the first there on the trade plan was a bounce long only if 105 holds with a target of 107, 108. So clearly 105 did not hold here, and it didn't even hold in the pre-market. So I hope nobody was looking at that. Rejection near 108 and then short back into the range. Well, we never made it into 108. We were very early on at 6 a.m. because yesterday's closing print was 108 and a quarter, and then it sold off. But what I did like was the break below 104 with a continuation short into 102. You definitely got that. You got the 104 break there at around 7:30. You also got it at around 9:15 because it moved right back into 104 with nary a breach. So if you were able to hold there, you were rewarded pretty quickly with a move into 104 and right back double bottom into 102. Now it did wick all the way into 150, but I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to look at the fact that 102 essentially got defended. So a 104 short into 102. That's what it was calling for there on the last trading plan. Gives you different ideas because there's not going to be just one way to trade. Break below 104 with a continuation short into 102. I think that one came into play.
One more thing. Obviously, fuel costs coming into play here with UPS. But what I also, what I was also reading on here is that it's down. So we're talking about 8%, 8.8% of its business. It's down from 13%. So they're reducing their exposure into Amazon, essentially.
Yeah.
Take a look at Spotify. So Spotify Technology has beat earnings estimate for the first quarter, reporting the equivalent of $4.04 per share on sales of $5.3 billion. FactSet Analysis had expected earnings of $3.46 a share. In the prior year period, Spotify earned the equivalent of $1.22 per share. Spot has added 3 million premium subscribers during the March quarter, which matches Wall Street views, and the company has ended the first quarter with 293 million paying subscribers worldwide, which represents a 9% increase year over year. Monthly active users, MAUs, have reached 761 million in the first quarter, surpassing Wall Street's estimate and target of 759 million. And this was the first full period with new co-CEOs Alex Nordstrom and Gustav Soderstrom following Dan X's transition. Now, for the June quarter, Spotify has predicted adding 6 million premium subscribers to reach a total of 299 million, below the 300.4 million that was expected. The second quarter is projected to end at 778 million, while analysts had been looking for 774.8 million. So active users currently Spot down on the day 14%. But before I send it to the guys, Adara, what's your take on Spot?
I mean, I got to shout them out for bouncing off 420. That's kind of hilarious. Low of day, I think 420.80s. So shout out to SPOT for that. Yeah, I mean, I think with Spotify, one thing that we're just going to have is there's just so much competition, right? Like we talked about this. Either you're, an old head like me and you're still downloading stuff off iTunes, which is probably not a lot of the population, but there are still, a lot of people who listen to CDs. I know lately the vinyl trend is really coming back. A lot of people getting into those, whether or not you agree with it, it is actually a thing that happens, right? There's YouTube, whether premium or just listening on the app. I think there's just so many different ways to listen to music now that I think SPOT could continue to run into some trouble here. I do like that they beat their MAU estimate. I like the growth there. But the two things that they kind of missed here on guidance with their operating income and their subscriber net addition, those both I think kind of concerning metrics to miss on. And last but not least, I think just from a technical standpoint, as someone who does trade Spotify, and I did trade Spotify today, I think that 444, you got to shout out Jay-Z, because this 444 level, really big resistance, not just intraday, but also pre-market around that 7:39 a.m. area. We rejected it too. Bounced just above that area going back to 612. So I think 444 could be an interesting level to watch here for SPOT. And once again, shout out to the Jay-Z album with that 444.
Yeah, great take. Did you see Ilhan Omar called World War II World War XI yesterday?
Did she? Yeah. Where was the other?
Because there was 2-2, so she read it as 11 instead of 2. God, these comments are hilarious in the chat.
Donald's a fan of her.
Oh yeah, big time. Let's talk a little bit about Spot. So first things first, a bit of a weak guide there. That's kind of what got my attention. Q2 operating guidance, they're guiding 630. The street was looking for 674 to 684, so a miss there. Also, ad-supported revenue decline. So even though the premium subs are, the bread and butter, revenue declined for their ad-supported tier by about 5% year over year. That's a little bit sluggish or having a harder time monetizing free users. And as I mentioned this morning on the big desk, this is the first major report since co-founder Daniel Ek stepped down as the CEO in January of this year. He's still executive chair, right? But the market's kind of reacting to the first signs of guidance friction under the new CEO. We'll wait and see. But this is an ugly, really ugly looking chart here. And I don't see any kind of bounce at the moment below VWAP. And as Adara mentioned, with that 420 low, what are your thoughts here, Joey?
I think it's interesting. I know Adara was talking about vinyl and iTunes, but I think like its primary competitors are obviously going to be YouTube Premium with the music, and then essentially Apple Music as well too. So I thought this thing would be performing a little bit better. I mean, you have an increase in the US Premium subscription, up $1 essentially. I'm really surprised at the way that this stock is acting. 761 million active monthly users. I mean, that's not a drop in the bucket, in my opinion, compared to how many phones. Like, if we're talking about a couple billion iPhones on the planet, people using them, that's almost half there, essentially, people potentially be using. I know there's Apple, I mean, obviously between Apple and Spotify, but I see a lot of people around me really starting to move towards Spotify just due to the fact that, like, the mixes are better, you have the tapes and everything. And I was just curious about on the fact is, like, why are we paying Joe Rogan so much when you can just watch it on YouTube and paying for all of these podcasts, essentially? I understand you want to expand your catalog, but that might be a little bit of a question on my
Fair.
All the Spotify is like curated playlists, and the end of the year you have the Spotify Wrap. There's a lot of I would say the marketing tactics that Spotify does use. I would personally say I love, like, every single day I open my day list. Apparently there's something that they started the day list, which sends you according to your mood and what day you might be having a playlist according to that. Apple doesn't do that. So it's just a competition, I would say, not saying that one is better than the other.
Yeah, I like this guy as well. Do you know about DJX?
No. What does he do? But I mean, a lot of people are saying that Spotify is a lot of people are saying that they enjoy Spotify more. I'll say one thing about Apple Music is that, like, I'll have, say, an alternative song on, but then the next song on the playlist will go to, like, hard rap. It just doesn't flow very good, and I didn't find that necessarily be the case in Spotify. The flow is much better.
Yeah, I don't mind Spotify. I've been a subscriber since 2016.
Apple Music sucks, Ramin, kind of.
Ram likes it. I use the 90. When I got this phone, they gave me 90 days free.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to go through the whole process.
Yeah, you have to read down. That's just again ecosystem integration.
But there is a way to bring in your
can
Spotify.
Transfer over everything. I just found Spotify had a little bit more, like, because I like a lot of my music comes off YouTube and you can't find it on Apple.
And they have ebooks.
They have it
too.
on
They have
Spotify.
ebooks as well, which I don't think Apple Music has. I could be wrong
about
that. Here's what I want to look at: the technicals. Let's look at what the trading plan said today about Spotify, down 14.4. Well, the first thing says dead cat bounce only if 440 to 445 holds. The target would be 470. Well, it certainly didn't hold, right? You definitely got that. But look at this one. This is the one that I like. Rejection near, that one. You didn't get anything near 470 as well. Obviously, dropped off a cliff. But this is the one. The break below 440. Look at this, Joey. Momentum short to where is that? Read that. Read that.
Was that
right
number? I can't. I don't know.
You can't read that one?
420.
440 short to 420. Spot on. Love this one. There's the break below 440, and I like the fact that there was a little bit of support there between 435 to 440, showing you the buyers were stepping in. This is the 930 candle, so you have to take that right off the flush. 930, this one did pop up into about 442, so if you're able to get 440 short there, you were rewarded almost immediately, because within half an hour, this one had double bottomed into 420. SPOT, see ya, down 14.4.
Now, this next story that I'm about to talk about is something that I really like, because knowing that travel sector is down in the current market of the world, but Hilton, let's look at Hilton. Adjusted EPS of $2.01 versus $1.96 estimated. Total revenue at $2.94 billion versus $2.98 billion expected, missed by 1.3%, but an increase of 9% year over year. EBITDA at $901 million, which is up 13.6% from $795 million. Franchise and leasing fees have also improved to $696 million from $625 million in the prior year quarter. Room revenue and occupancy for budget and middle market hotels has increased at a 9.2%. In the revenue has also been seen at the Tapestry Collection brand. Hilton's LXR Hotels has reported a 20.2% year-on-year increase in quarterly revenue per available room, that is RevPAR. For this year, Hilton is expecting RevPAR, which is a metric to measure the average daily rate and occupancy, has grown 3.6% compared to a forecast of 1% growth. Currently, HLT down 1.4%.
Sorry, I was just Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, I found this. So they're starting to offer a dividend here. Just reading on a little bit more with a bunch of folks. Well, that's an interesting way. At Gemini and OpenAI going to be opening up an app within their environment the next couple of weeks.
that.
So they're teaming up with some of the AI plays there. So
can I make an argument too? So, I'm going to Colombia in August, so I didn't know for Bogota and for Medellin, I didn't know where to stay because we're going to do Airbnb. So I don't know neither of those cities. So I found myself going into AI, asking, hey, if I'm looking for restaurants, nightlife, this and that, what part of the city should I stay? And it gives you really sound advice. And then what you end up doing is you take the name, and then you just go into Airbnb and you search the Airbnb. If you could do that within the app, within the LLM, and then they could take a little bit off the top from Airbnb sort of as a reference. That's a good income generator in the same way that we saw Walmart putting their products with OpenAI. I wouldn't mind a little travel kind of
that integrated into.
That's what I'm using it actually for, right?
We talk about disruptive services all the time. How much is it for Airbnb? I think it's taken it by storm. Very rarely do you see a lot of people who are going away. I think the first thing that they look at now is how much is an Airbnb going to cost, and where can we stay, and how close is it to everything that I'm looking at?
Absolutely
compared to the actual hotel.
100% agree with that. Bro. Every time I mention Colombia, you guys come in with some interesting comments there. Just for the individual who was asking, time's up. If you're looking for the trading plan that we were looking at there, looking at the technicals, it's super easy to find, guys. Just mosey on over to the Trader TV Live homepage on YouTube. This is the homepage right there. It's super easy to find. And see where that join button right there? You click that join button. This handsome gentleman named Brendo Wickens shows up there, and then you hit $4.99 a month. That's Canadian or American. But if you're going to do it off your iPhone, it's going to cost you more money. So I would suggest you don't do it within the app. It's because Apple is going to take their 30% cut. You go outside, sign up there, guys. I just want to give you that. So super easy to find. Trader TV Live homepage, Joey. Click join. And
there goes NVDA. It's really starting to go over here on the day. I mean, you got to think, where did we open up at here approximately? 103. So we're past the opening price.
Katina Man's long NVIDIA, by the way.
He's long NVIDIA. Okay, good. All right, cool. But no, nonetheless, 107 has a potential high. We break through the volume-weighted average price, and it's something identical to what we seen yesterday. And Sean and I were talking about it's like, okay, you have that initial selling, but when you're in a real strong market, you tend to buy things back up, and I think that's been the narrative here in the King of the Chips, NVDA. So Yeah, not too bad. We can take a look at AMD. That was weaker, dropped $45 off of its high, right? So you have that massive gap down. Now heading towards a key pivot of 327. So, I mean, interesting stuff, man. Strong market, strong recovery. And this is what we want to see, essentially. But I thought we'd see more of an aggressive pullback in AMD. I mean, 45%, like down 10, 13% in the span of a couple of days.
Well, exactly.
But it's just been on such a monster run, 75% off of the monthly lows. So, some crazy stuff. So.
But look, to give AMD some credit, since the